Kidnapping, trafficking, abusing, alienating, killing, foster prison, foster slaves, domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity, international agenda, CPS, kidnappers, social workers, police officers, stealing children, promoting homes,
by force, fraud, lies, fabrication, tampering with evidence,
official oppression, malice, conspiracy, corrupt courts, corrupt judges, corrupt dependency lawyers, government, trafficking children, CPS, kidnappers, child protective service, steal children by force, fraud, fabrication, tampering with evidence, official oppression, malice, CPS, kidnappers, all day, every day.
Steal children, steal children. Still children. Make that money. Woo! Sell that shit.
Kidnapping, trafficking, abusing, alienating, killing, foster prison, foster slaves, domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity, international agenda, CPS, kidnappers, social workers, police officers, stealing children, promoting homes by force, fraud, lies, fabrication.
Welcome, CPS News Network. We're going to get started. Let's just play one more time. We're getting started. Blowing the whistle. Facebook data sold. Cambridge Analytica for child trafficking abuse investigations. Woo!
Kidnapping, trafficking, abusing, alienating, killing, foster prison, foster slaves, domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity, international agenda, CPS, kidnappers, social workers, police officers, stealing children, promoting homes,
by force, fraud, lies, fabrication, tampering with evidence,
official oppression, malice, conspiracy, corrupt courts, corrupt judges, corrupt dependency lawyers, government, trafficking children, CPS, kidnappers, child protective service, steal children by force, fraud, fabrication, tampering with evidence, official oppression, malice, CPS, kidnappers, all day, every day, steal children, steal children. Kidnapping, trafficking, kidnapping, trafficking, kidnapping, trafficking, kidnapping, trafficking, kidnapping, trafficking, abusing, alienating, killing, foster prison, foster slaves, domestic terrorism, crimes against humanity, international agenda, CPS, kidnappers, social workers, police officers, stealing children, promoting homes by force, fraud, lies.
Force, lies, fraud, fabrication, tampering with evidence, official oppression, malice, war crimes, human rights, civil rights, constitutional rights, nothing matters. So some talk about Cambridge Analytica. We're going to get into that. They were covered. We covered them about 2 years ago, and then we did a review back in April of 18. But we did cover them prior to that, and they were selling data, putting risk scores on children, poor children, from the Facebook data. So let's just go to that. We got a good video here to watch, and it's going to explain how Facebook data has been sold to Cambridge Analytica. Let me tell you real quick, Cambridge Analytica, it's in the news right now because Millie's Weavers, her documentary, see if I can find it here. Hold on. Well, I don't see it, but let's just talk about Millie, the blonde bombshell, the arrest on Friday, going to court for a $50 cell phone, a lot of ridiculousness, indict a ham sandwich with a so-called
police officers, getting children, or you can go. Basically, she's talking about Cambridge Analytica interfering with elections. The reality is the biggest scandal with Cambridge Analytica was them using data to put numbers on children to traffic, to target poor people specifically. This is common sense. This is anyone who looks at Cambridge knows about this. Again, don't fall for the charade. They're trying to control the narrative. It's not going to happen, not at CPS News Network. This is the biggest scandal. When Facebook sells data to an agency, Cambridge Analytica, who uses it to target children for child trafficking. It's not to target children to get them what they need, to facilitate them, to make sure they're okay. No, it's for investigations. And ultimately, those investigations are for the removal. That's where the money is. There's no money in keeping children with family. So it's very important. Don't let them control the narrative. Not going to happen. You see Ocasio-Cortez. Let's see, we go over here. Here she is here. This is her, just a drama queen. She's chosen to do the job she does. It's talking about election influence and stuff. No, let's talk about children, child abuse, using data to put numbers on children, whether or not you're going to target them for investigations and child trafficking. It's not an agency that's looking to help abuse children. It's looking for children to traffic from poor, specific people. Again, Youth Today, we'll put the link in there. Let's just listen to Ocasio and her charade. You're just seeing political theater, grandstanding. All you people out there can hate on her all you want. She's just an actress. This is a show. This is all political theater. And it's not about, they're trying to control the narrative, but we're not going to let that happen here.
Did you personally first become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I'm not sure of the exact time, but it was probably around the time when it became public. I think it was around March of 2018. I could be wrong.
Mm-hmm. When did Facebook COO Sheryl Sandberg become aware of Cambridge Analytica?
I don't know.
You don't know. Did anyone on your leadership team know about Cambridge Analytica prior to the initial report by The Guardian on December 11, 2015?
Congresswoman, I believe so, and that some folks were tracking it internally.
And
Actually, as you were asking this, I do think I was aware of Cambridge Analytica as an entity earlier. I don't know if I was tracking how they were using Facebook specifically.
when was the issue discussed with your board member, Peter Thiel?
Congresswoman, I don't know that.
You don't know. This was the largest data scandal with respect to your company that had catastrophic impacts on the 26th.
Okay, she says largest scandal. This is a scandal. They don't want to talk about it. They leak it out. They let everybody know. Everyone's data has already been sold. Once it's sold, you're never going to get it back. Okay, these are deep state operations. Cambridge Analytica, it's a deep state operation that's just an offshoot of Facebook to get this data and to use it against people. Get where you live, your zip code, how many children you have, how nice looking your children are, how the probability for adoption. This is social targeting, preying on the poor. We detailed this back in 2018. We're going to play that video here in a minute. Again, Facebook Gate, Cambridge Analytica. Facebook sells data to child traffickers. These aren't first responders for relief. These are first responders to steal children and traffic them for massive amounts of federal money. That's the big scandal. They're trying to control the narrative. They're trying to keep people stupid. We're going to remind everybody what the reality is, and we're going to play a video that we did back in 2018. Breaks down the selling of Facebook user data to child traffickers for child trafficking. That's what social services would offer you, welfare assistance, that you're already a target. So, they're already using these tactics. Social worker will go to your Facebook and will see who you hang out with, who you're associating with, things like that. Ethics, there are no ethics with Facebook. They're just totally dominant, and they're dominant for a reason. They can get away with anything, which they are. So I just wanted to touch base on that about the analytics being released, data, Cambridge, Facebook leak. Facebook they're dominant for a reason. They're chosen to be dominant. They are the ones that are chosen. That's why there's no real competition in the market, because they don't want competition. They will squash competition. They will make it difficult for other people to start a Facebook-style appliance, using the software. They'll make it difficult. They'll squash innovation. It's so easy for them. My God, look how wealthy they supposedly are. It's fast, rich beyond anyone's comprehension. I wanted to warn people, Cambridge Analytics, we already know they're using this stuff, but I think it's a form of conditioning where they're actually telling you they are, getting a feel, get people used to it. Anything goes. Conditioning. So there's not a lot we can do about it, but take down your information about your family. They've been using Facebook, and this is just a small sample of the Pittsburgh data leak. Not a leak, but they were selling the information. They've done it in Los Angeles, supposedly. So I would think it's more of a social conditioning news release. Again, if you go here to Youth Today, that's where the article came from. And also because a lot of people aren't talking about it. That's kind of odd. I've heard claims of it being viral, but I haven't seen it on the main stations. But who watches that stuff anyways? The ratings on those shows are so low. This is where you're going to get your information, is from here. So, paths to success, changes. Anyone caught dealing with these people know there are no changes. They're getting away with everything every single day. Well, we just see them get more ruthless. Margin of error for being poor. So that's the target market, preying on the poor, poverty profiling. We're seeing new terms come out. That's exactly what they're doing. And they've been doing it, and it's real simple to do. And what can you do? They're such a dominant force. There's no real alternative to Facebook. And in their fine print, we've pretty much given them access to everything. So I just wanted to go over that, get that out there. Read into it. Get back to me if you'd like. If you want to go live, if you have information, if you have a perspective, different, get in contact with us. I'm Dr. Phil, Exposed UPS, #FosterWar, signing in. Okay, that was 2 years ago. That's the big scandal with Facebook, with their data mining and selling the data to child traffickers, specifically Cambridge Analytics. So basically they're telling everybody, yeah, we sold all your data, and people are going to be using it to put a number on your child's head, whether or not they want to target them for child trafficking. It's not to target children, to help them, to make them safe. The entire system is built to separate children from families, preying on the poor. It's right here, Youth Today, target poor children for abuse investigations. Again, we recommend everyone take down their pictures, take down their any identifiable information of their children if you still have them. It is not a safe place if you're vulnerable, if you're poor. Your probability to be abused by the system is much higher than it would be if you had a lower score. Again, they're giving children scores 1 to 20. We'll make sure this link gets out there. This is the algorithm, predictive analysis, family screening tool. So it's real easy. Figure out parenting while poor, targeting poor people, ethics. There are no ethics with child trafficking, with separating children from families. We know that there's no crime committed over 90% of the time, and children are kidnapped and trafficked to foster care, black market adoptions, and never to be seen again. So we want to make sure that everybody keeps it sane, understands the theater, that this is just a poorly scripted movie. Ocasio-Cortez, all you people out there that want to hate on her, she's just a puppet. She got a job to do. She's been chosen. There's no legitimacy anywhere here. You're not seeing a legitimate Facebook, a legitimate politician. She's not talking about the selling of user data to
to child traffickers, to basically put a number on them for investigations. It's how could that even be without a referral, without somebody to referral? How can you target somebody with a child abuse investigation without a referral from somebody? I mean, this is how corrupt it is. These anyone can call in and say, "Oh, well, yeah, we did the Allegheny risk account score, and they got a 20, 1 out of 20. This is an anonymous call. Can you check them for abuse?" Well, I don't know. I don't know how they're going to get that initial tie-in, but clearly, just like I explained to you, an anonymous caller could just start something. But that's what it takes. It takes that type of sophistication of conspiracy to target and to literally go out and fabricate abuse reports through the phone system, through the abuse system. That's what it would take to start an investigation, not a computer. Family, the Garcia family has a high risk score of 20. You must start an investigation. A robot's not going to do that. It's going to take a person. But it shows you the extent they don't care about. It's any way possible to get under your family's skin, start an investigation, and prey on you. It's going to dictate whether or not they're going to get away with it, whether or not you're poor, whether or not you're beautiful. If you have beautiful babies and you're a beautiful person, you're a much likely higher target for trafficking, to have your children kidnapped by CPS. So we just want to make sure everybody focuses on the big picture. You got to educate people. I mean, to follow these people as if, he's legitimate and he's a CIA operative. Facebook was designed and created by the deep state. They killed off Facebook for a reason. It's completely controlled. It's the most powerful.
I'm sorry, they shut down MySpace for a reason. Go ahead.
Information data mine you could ever have. Again, she talks about election interference with phony ads. That's all we get is phony politicians. They're all phony. They don't have no integrity. Clearly, she just missed the biggest opportunity to talk about Facebook selling data to put numbers on children's head for abuse investigations. She didn't talk about that. Again, we covered it 2 years ago. Here it is here. They tell you who they're sold the data to. They tell you what they're going to use it for. This came out March of 18. So, get off the Kool-Aid. Tell other people, get off. We're having an effect. There's an impact. They're doing this to charade the there's no truth in Facebook and we need to make sure everything's true. The whole entire political system is fake. All of it. Every single politician. 99% of them. You can count on one hand how many are talking about the important issues out of thousands. It's all controlled, and just understand that. Don't let them control the narrative. That's how they win. They have to control the mind. If they're not controlling your mind, they can't win. It's mind control. They're trying to control the storyline. But the reality is that Facebook is a deep state operation. COINTELPRO, Dynacorp, whatever. It's the most powerful mind control appliance ever created. And these aren't just guys that come out of nowhere and start billion-dollar companies. Very strategized, very funded, very orchestrated from top to bottom. So again, the interview, Ocasio-Cortez, Facebook, she's claiming the biggest scandal is election interference. What a joke. Election interference. See, the internet would solve everything. The efficiency of computers can solve everything. But when we have failure in our society, while we have the most powerful computer system ever designed for efficiency, you know who's running it. you know who's controlling it, because we're having the same problems that we've had over 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the same basic problems. When we have this powerful social networking device, communications, it doesn't make mistakes. The internet doesn't make, the computer doesn't make mistakes. The people that put the information cause those mistakes. The computer is hyper specific. But as long as they can gray the lines and keep people distracted with false narratives like this, they have you where they want you. So unlock your mind, free yourself from the system, understand the big picture. Again, none of our problems in society should exist right now. We have the most powerful communications networking device ever created for goodness. But the evil that exists is in control of it and allowing all of this failure of our society to continue. It's fascinating. Think about it. Open up your mind. Get out of the box. Don't give these people your mind. See the big picture and tell others. Talk about what's important. Don't talk about what these politicians and all this other nonsense is talking about. It's all nonsense. It's to distract you and your mind. Again, covering the Cambridge Analytica, Facebook selling of user data to target poor children for abuse investigations. We'll make sure to get that out in the link. You can look at it yourself. They tell you how they're screwing you. I mean, and then you have that woman, Ocasio, coming out saying it's an election scandal. That's the biggest Facebook scandal. Stupid news, stupid media for stupid people. See things for what they are. They're slapping you in the face while they're smiling, and you need to see things for what they are. All politicians are involved. They're all corrupt. You're just seeing a big theater. Again, the computer solves everything. It solves voter corruption. It can solve everything. But there's people out there in control of every aspect of our internet, of our social media, that don't want goodness for everybody. And that's what you need to understand. All of our same problems we have today that have been around 20, 40, 60, 100 years are around today because people are controlling the hearts, minds, souls of individuals on the internet, through social media, through the cell phone. Thank you for watching CPS News Network. Break it down. Contact us if you'd like to talk. That's Foster War 2019. Tell things as they are. Help one another. See the big picture. Don't fall into the cloud. Hold everyone accountable. Every single person who has their hand in this industry, silent or complicit, is guilty by association. CPS News Network, breaking it all down. Thank you for watching.
And Facebook is facing backlash yet again for admitting it allowed users to request information about how to be smuggled into the country. The company confirmed the policy after Arizona's Attorney General requested information on reports that drug cartels and human smugglers were advertising on Facebook. While
All right,
Facebook,
I'm sorry. Can you say that again? You said drug cartels and people that are human traffickers were advertising on Facebook. And wait a second, hold on a second. So you're saying that drug cartels and human traffickers were using Facebook and advertising on Facebook.
Well, listen to their statement.
And Facebook allowed drug cartels,
correct,
and human traffickers
to like exchange info,
to advertise and use Facebook.
They say they didn't promote it, but here's their statement. We do allow people to share information about how to enter a country illegally or request information about how to be smuggled after consultation. Now listen to this. After consultation with human rights experts, we developed this policy to ensure we were prohibiting content related to the business of human smuggling, but not interfering with people's ability to exercise right to seek asylum, blah, blah, blah. Here's the thing about Facebook, Joe. They create this business and they set it up. And then after they find out like rapes and murders and human smuggling, things like that come along with it are happening, they kind of try and dial back. Actually, it's just not, I don't know, I don't understand why they have the power to have all sorts of nasty things happening that they just go, oops, oh gosh, so sorry.
No,
I think we'll like try and stop that.
If I could just modify one part of your statement.
Sure.
It's not after they find out that this is going on.
Oh, okay.
Because they keep taking the money. They keep making their billions.
Good point.
Mark Zuckerberg keeps going for, he's what, 110, 120 billion dollars now, probably pays about 5% in income taxes. No, they don't correct themselves after after they find out about this. It's only after they're caught. And Willie, there was a story several weeks ago about the fact that Facebook was warned for some time that this was happening, and they continue to allow it to happen. It's just like when somebody high up in the front office at Facebook leading into the 2016 election warned about Russian interference. Afterwards, when Sheryl Sandberg had to go to the board and talk about 2016 and Russian interference and how the Russians ran ads to interfere with American democracy. It was Sheryl Sandberg, according to the New York Times, that took that Facebook executive out and started screaming at him for telling the Facebook board the truth about a foreign adversary interfering with American democracy. Now let's set this straight again. Sheryl Sandberg, when confronted with this information, and when somebody had the audacity to actually tell the Facebook board the extent of Russian interference in American democracy in 2016, her response was not to be shocked and stunned and deeply sad. And it was to actually scream at this person, this truth teller, that actually let the board in on their dirty little secret. Same thing here. They never self-correct, it seems. They always have to get
never
caught.
accountable.
And then they try to self-correct.
Well, remember, Mark Zuckerberg was sitting before Congress saying that Instagram and many Facebook products actually have healthy impacts in many ways on young girls and young women. All the while, we now know, because of a whistleblower who left Facebook but worked there, leaked documents to the Wall Street Journal, then testified herself before Congress, that Facebook, through internal presentations, knew of the impacts on young girls. So they're happy to have these studies internally, ignore them, and then publicly say, no, actually, we don't know, and we don't know about any of this stuff. Or, as a matter of fact, it's the opposite of what you're saying it is. And Claire McCaskill.
Hey, thanks so much for watching our YouTube channel. You can follow.
Okay, we're live. Yeah, we got the real deal here. Stand by. better stuff than that. Golly, we're on fire. Lots of stuff going on today. Let's try that one. No. Okay. Well, you see that tech giant garbage. Oh, shoot. Let's just blow that up. Okay. Yeah. Facebook admits users can share. So a lot of distractionary crap. They're selling children online, heartgalleryofamerica.org. So just distractionary bullshit, all war criminals, all treason, all facade, all drama. Just point the finger, keep everybody disheveled. They got everything they wanted. I mean, my God, Facebook, 15 years harnessing everyone's data. They've gotten everything they want. Google, they got everything they want. They own all these institutions of corporations that rule the internet. So, keep that in mind. More content coming in. Stand by. Let's see, it's going to be here. Stopping, sharing. They're not going to talk about the heart of the battle. You can be guaranteed of that. And that's right here. Cambridge, selling information, CPS agents, child abuse, foster care investigations. We're talking anonymous calling, anonymous robocalls to get your family investigated. Whatever they're using, CPS is using Facebook data for child sex trafficking and kidnapping and exploitation of children. They're doing it online blatantly. heartgalleryofamerica.org. Stand by. We got some good audio coming in. Again, I'll put the link in here. This is everything. They always throw something out there when they're doing something right on the other side that nobody's reporting on, and this is it. Let's just hear what's going on here.
Pittsburgh misuses big data to target poor children for abuse investigations. One massive leak of middle-class Americans' data seems to have the whole world in an uproar. A firm known as Cambridge Analytica allegedly improperly obtained personal information given to Facebook by 50 million people. Then, according to the New York Times, the firm, which was tied to President Trump's 2016 campaign, used the data to target messages to voters. The data were offered to Facebook voluntarily. Now that Facebook apparently failed to keep it secured, some Americans are exercising their right to delete their Facebook accounts. Others are exercising their right to share less information on Facebook. But if this one leak causes so much outrage that is entirely justified, can you imagine what would happen if, say, people were forced to surrender vast amounts of personal data and a big government agency could use those data to investigate them and even take away their children? Why, if that ever happened, the outrage would be, well, actually, it would be almost non-existent. Because it's already happening in Allegheny County, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Instead of outrage, this forced surrender of data and its use as a tool to investigate alleged child maltreatment is being celebrated in the local newspaper and in a magazine supposedly dedicated to exposing the harm of big government. Even the Times, which first broke the Cambridge Analytica story, celebrates the way Pittsburgh uses predictive analytics in child welfare. That celebration comes despite the fact that similar experiments failed spectacularly in Los Angeles and Illinois. None of this is really surprising. The cause of this double standard is the same as all the other double standards when it comes to child welfare, such as this one and this one. What Allegheny County is doing only targets poor people. How the algorithm works. They are targeted by something called the Allegheny Family Screening Tool, AFST. A semi-secret predictive analytics algorithm that processes vast amounts of data about a family and boils it down to a risk score, a single number between 1 and 20. Supposedly the higher the number, the greater the risk to the child. The number is a secret, like an invisible scarlet number etched on a child's forehead. Right now, a child is branded with this scarlet number if someone alleges the child is abused or neglected. The county uses the number to decide which cases need to be investigated. But the county is considering something even more Orwellian, stamping that scarlet number on every child born in the county, at birth. Such a number could haunt not only the child, but his or her children and grandchildren. Predictive analytics was brought to the county by someone I admire and respect, Mark Cherner, director of the County Department of Human Services (DHS). He has an excellent record of reducing needless foster care. But this time, he's on the wrong track. Rather than eliminating the racial and class biases that permeate child welfare, AFST simply automates those biases, something made clear in a devastating critique by Professor Virginia Eubanks in her book, Automating Inequality, a portion of which was excerpted in Wired magazine, the one story that rebutted the general journalistic praise for AFST. The problems with AFST are legion. 1. AFST doesn't actually predict child abuse. Rather, claims of accuracy are based on its ability to predict whether, once reported as allegedly abusing or neglecting a child, a family will be reported again or whether the child is likely to be removed from her or his parents. But reporting itself is a highly subjective process. DHS itself acknowledges that decisions to call in a report alleging child abuse are rife with racial bias. 1. Most reports don't fit the stereotype of parents brutally beating and torturing children. Far more common are cases in which poverty itself is confused with neglect. So if a family is reported because of poverty, a year later, the family is still poor. There's a good chance the poverty will be confused with neglect again and the family will be reported again. 1. The designers of AFST consider the existence of previous reports among the strongest supposed predictors of future danger. But the vast majority of reports, even those rated highest risk by AFST, are false. Yet once in the database, there's almost no way out. In Pennsylvania, the appeals process ranges from nearly impossible to non-existent. 1. The various data points that the algorithm uses to create a risk score amount to what Eubanks calls poverty profiling. By the county's own admission, in many cases probably a majority. Seeking out help through public benefits raises the risk score. Parenting while poor. As Eubanks explains, because the model confuses parenting while poor with poor parenting, the AFST views parents who reach out to public programs as risks to their children. And, of course, because these are public benefits, such as SNAP, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, TANF, Temporary Assistance for Needy Families, and Medicaid, the data are collected automatically by the county. Unlike when we liked something on Facebook, the poor have no choice. Eubanks reports that 25% of the variables in AFST are direct measures of poverty. Another 25% measure interaction with the child welfare and juvenile justice systems themselves. This turns AFST into less prediction than self-fulfilling prophecy. Both poverty itself and seeking help to cope with poverty raise the AFST score, so more helping professionals, who also are mandated reporters of alleged child abuse, are in the family's life. Both the score and the professionals put the family under a microscope. The microscope turns up something that normally would be seen as innocent but now is suspect. So the family is reported again, proving the algorithm was right. And once it is known in the community that reaching out for help increases the chances that child protective services will be in your life, people may be less likely to seek help, and problems that can lead to actual child abuse could worsen. The algorithm visits the sins of the parents, real or imagined, upon the children. Eubanks cites a family that was victimized by repeated false reports. When the child the county supposedly was protecting grows up, if she herself becomes the target of a child abuse report, she will bear a higher scarlet number. Because her own parents supposedly were neglectful. So her children will be at greater risk of enduring the enormous harm of needless foster care. About that, Ethics Review. Stories praising AFST repeatedly cite a so-called ethics review that gave AFST a seal of approval. But one of the two academicians chosen by DHS for the review not only is a faculty colleague of one of the AFST designers but actually co-wrote papers with her. The 9-page review itself is startlingly superficial. The only references cited are papers written by either the designers of AFST or the authors of the review itself. Even with this odd choice of ethics reviewers, the review based its endorsement in part on the fact that AFST would not target children at birth, but only after a child abuse report had been made. But that may not last. Eubanks reports that the county is, at a minimum, considering introducing a second predictive model that would be run on a daily or weekly basis on all babies born in Allegheny County the prior day or week, according to a September 2017 email from Cherner's deputy, Aaron Dalton. Such a model already exists. Indeed, it's one of the models the designers of AFST proposed to the county in the first place. So if the county starts branding every infant with a scarlet number at birth, a number that will even affect the number assigned to their children and grandchildren, is that model inherently unethical? Cherner promises that the scarlet numbers under any such system will be used only to find the families most in need of help. He also promises that the current AFST will only be used as it is now, to decide which families to investigate, not whether to take away children. But this is a distinction without much difference. Though the investigators don't know the exact AFST score, they know that AFST told them to investigate in the first place. And what about Cherner's successor, and his successor's successor? Any system that depends for success on the benevolence of a single leader with near absolute power is too dangerous for a free society. Most of those pushing for the use of systems like AFST are nothing like Mark Cherner. On the contrary, they tend to be those most enthused about taking away more children and using algorithms to accomplish it. They are constantly pressuring child welfare systems to do just that. So what happens on the next Leaders' Watch when there's a high-profile child abuse fatality, and everyone claims that the pendulum supposedly has swung too far toward keeping families together? The new DHS leader decrees that a high AFST score leads to automatic removal. The system is flooded with children who don't need to be there, doing those children enormous harm. And the whole system is so overloaded that there is less time to find children in real danger. That's so easy to predict, even a human being can do it. Richard Wexler is executive director of the National Coalition for Child Protection Reform, NCCPR's full discussion of predictive analytics in child welfare is available here. Related tags: child abuse, child welfare, feature story, foster care, Pittsburgh, predictive analytics, racial bias. Recommended for you. 1. With windfall, city tries to reach kids trapped in violence. 2. Gun violence claiming more lives of American teens, children. 3. Data on child abuse.
Okay, we're live here. Let's see if anyone can hear me. Okay, we're live. Going to some more good content. We got it all. Stand by. Here it is. Coming to you. Stand by. Wow. Powerful stuff. The more you listen, the more you learn. You can imagine robocall child abuse reports. That's what they are. You're looking at witnessing robotic, automated, algorithm, Facebook data content, abuse reports. They're in danger based on scores that could come from anywhere. Trying to fix this here. Let me just go to our content we had earlier. It's here. Action. Stand by for sound. Okay, looks like we're getting towards the end of it. Gonna reload.
Cortez to thing is in.
Okay, we've seen her.
Basically, you won't see any about court correction, been in foster care. Currently, Los Angeles has the most children in foster care, estimated 35,000 is what we've heard. We've also heard and located a website, missingkidslA.org, that's showcasing 800 foster kids that no one's looking for, that they lost. You can find more information on that at 1,000 Missing Foster Kids on Facebook. So there's some talk about Cambridge Analytics and Facebook. So this is Cambridge Analytics here. So they're data mining, getting data from Facebook, giving risk scores of children based on what people post in their profile or group, or how they like things, what they don't like. And they're putting numbers on children, actual red flag numbers, and those are the ones they will target. So if DHS has this information, that's Children and Services, if they think that if they get a report and you're listed high ranking, they could say it's a no-brainer. This one's ours. We're going to go take that child. We can do this because of the risk score. So basically giving everybody a number based on what you're posting on Facebook. We're recommending now that everyone take their information down from Facebook. They're doing it in Pittsburgh. This is where it was supposedly found out. But you got to watch the source that's leaking this information. This is youthtoday.com. You can just type in, they actually have a topic section that shows foster care, child welfare. So you go here and you can see other articles that they've been posting. Basically, you won't see any about court corruption, judges, social workers fabricating reports, all the fraud and the child trafficking and kidnapping, and how nobody's doing anything about it. And it's a runaway trend. You probably won't even see an article on here about constitutional rights being thrown out the window. So you got to watch an agency like this, because they can be just leaking information, social conditioning, getting people used to big government having their data. It's similar to if they're preying on poor people. This was specifically targeting poor people. But you won't find about corruption, about child trafficking, constitutional right violations, a total overthrow of everything we thought we had. So they're misusing the data. Some company in Pittsburgh, Cambridge Analytics. So, they post that it didn't work in Los Angeles. Well, they're still using it. We know they're using Facebook. The social workers are all over Facebook. They really don't even need this algorithm. They'll go to your Facebook post and see that if you're vulnerable or not, based on a report. That could be the first place they go if they get a report. What's she posting? What's her mood? What's her environment? Who are her friends? And they can make a judgment if they're going to target you more or less based on your profile. It's best that everybody take everything down pertaining to your family. So, Facebook, they don't care. They're going to ship your stuff wherever they want. Let's look at that Allegheny family screening tool, giving risk scores. We've already heard of them using risk scores and assessments, but this is just another one. So they're praising it in a local paper that it's the local reporting agencies are praising it as something that is good. Automating inequality. Based on your class, racial status, parenting while poor, we know that the economy is in a slump. There is no growth, not for the working class, working poor. It's never been worse. So similar to what DHS social services would offer you welfare assistance, that you're already a target. So, they're already using these tactics. A social worker will go to your Facebook and will see who you hang out with, who you're associating with, things like that. Ethics, there are no
with Facebook. They're just totally dominant, and they're dominant for a reason. They can get away with anything, which they are. So I just wanted to touch base on that about the analytics being released, data, Cambridge, Facebook leak. You know, Facebook they're dominant for a reason. They're chosen to be dominant. They are the ones that are chosen. That's why there's no real competition in the market, because they don't want competition. They will squash competition. They will make it difficult for other people to start a Facebook style appliance, you know, using the software. They'll make it difficult. They'll squash innovation. It's so easy for them. My God, look how wealthy they supposedly are. It's fast, you know, rich beyond anyone's comprehension. So I wanted to warn people, Cambridge Analytics, you know, we already know they're using this stuff, but I think it's a form of conditioning where they're actually telling you they are, getting a feel, get people used to it. Anything goes. Conditioning. So there's not a lot we can do about it, but take down your information about your family. They've been using Facebook, and this is just a small sample of the Pittsburgh data leak. Not a leak, but they were selling the information. They've done it in Los Angeles, supposedly. So I would think it's more of a social conditioning news release. Again, if you go here to Youth Today, that's where the article came from. And also because a lot of people aren't talking about it. That's kind of odd. I've heard claims of it being viral, but I haven't seen it on the main stations. But you know, who watches that stuff anyways? The ratings on those shows are so low. This is where you're going to get your information, is from here. So, you know, paths to success, changes. Anyone caught dealing with these people know there are no changes. They're getting away with everything every single day. Well, we just see them get more ruthless. You know, a margin of error for being poor. So that's the target market, preying on the poor, poverty profiling. We're seeing new terms come out. That's exactly what they're doing. And they've been doing it, and it's real simple to do. And what can you do? You know, they're such a dominant force. There's no real alternative to Facebook. And in their fine print, we've pretty much given them access to everything. So I just wanted to go over that, get that out there. Read into it. Get back to me if you'd like. If you want to go live, if you have information, if you have a perspective different, get in contact with us. Dr. Phil, Expose CPS, #FosterWar, signing out. Okay, we're in the comments, people. Again, we're covering Cambridge Analytica. We're covering the Milli Vanilli blonde bombshell bosom buddy arrest for a $50 cell phone, a grand jury indictment over a ham sandwich at an expensive restaurant. $50 phone, and we're doing grand jury indictments from behind. What's really going on, people? Her indictment's been released. Milli Vanilli's Milli bombshell Manili Weaver. The release of her documentary. This is her here. Her questionable arrest. What's really going on? Again, she missed the elephant in the room, just like when Ocasio-Cortez did this years ago. Ocasio, let's just bring up her mug. Here she is. Ocasio missed the elephant in the room when she's questioning Facebook Zuckerberg. Why didn't she ask him about Facebook data being used to target children for child abuse investigations. How could she miss that? Ocasio-Cortez, you're just, this is propaganda. They bring Zuckerberg in. The elephant in the room wasn't talked about. And here we got Millie Bombshell, Vanilla Ice here. Let's see. Oh, what happened here? Yeah, this is her documentary. It's on an autoplay. So there's good information here: predictive analysis, programming, structuring the news feed, what we get in our news feed. Again, you can find this Shadowgate 2020. But she brought up Cambridge Analytics, so I had to get out there and say, what? And then you got this authority figure, Mr. Veteran, so-called whistleblower. He's the next Snowden, and then this other woman. So, these people could be groomed, staged, anything goes, chosen and just set up basically. But yeah, what's her name? Millie Vanilla Weaver. It's been on InfoWars for a while doing the reporting. The documentary is interesting because it talks about the power of knowing what people think, how they think. But the true value of the information is it's the information is when you want to really target a society, it's not really what's already out there, which they recorded. That could be used to target you later as an individual. But the core of the data mining and the saving of the data is the news feed, what you're watching in your frickin' news feed, how it's controlled, how it's designed to keep you dumb. They'll put stuff in your news feed. So it's what you get in your news feed and what you look at every day is your news feed. That's where the real value is of mind control. It's daily. It's updated daily. So it doesn't matter what you were thinking in the past. It matters that they have control of your mind today, and the contractors being used. So it's an interesting documentary. But again, it hashes up nonsense about elections, Russian intrusion. You got this whistleblower. They call her Tory. What's she up to? Where did she come from? She's now a famous whistleblower. Again, we did searches for Shadowgate on YouTube. Nothing there. Data Wars. The data. Cambridge Analytics was brought up in that documentary. Keep that in mind, people. Again, bombshell, blonde bosom, InfoWars reporter arrested for a $50 cell phone by a grand jury, and claimed just ridiculous. What's going on, people? Really, people, come on. A $50 cell phone with a grand jury, and the mom. It was the mom. It was an argument with her mother, and her mother said she didn't want to press charges for the $50 phone. Why don't they lie to it? Lie to us better, please. Tell us it's a $1,500 iPhone S, and that made it a felony 1 or 2, something. $50 cell phone. Where do you get $50 cell phones? Damn, she's being a grand jury indictment for an Obama phone. Get real, people. Very easy to find. You just type in Google Youth Today, big data, and you could probably get straight to the article. Here's the article here. Pittsburgh misusing big data, target poor children, investigations, mentions Cambridge Analytica, algorithms, family screening tool. It's real easy to target people for child trafficking by Child Protective Service, but it's very important to get your information off of Facebook. Your children, don't put them on there. Don't allow them to do that. Don't allow them to, because it's really creepy, and they're going to target you based on how you look. If your child's a beautiful child, they're worth money, big money. They're worth 10 times more than a child that's not attractive. If you're attractive, they're going to want your children because you're a beautiful woman or a beautiful person, beautiful family. Those are the ones that are worth the big money. Black market adoptions, new name and new social. Parenting while poor. So you can just read that there. Confused with neglect. They're claiming poverty, confused with neglect here. Again, 80%, 90% of children being stolen from their parents for claims of neglect, usually just poor, fabricated claims of neglect, no criminal charges. Less than 3% of parents are ever charged with a crime. Children being stolen, 700 a day. Let's get back to the numbers. We heard a number, 430,000 missing. No, 430,000 in foster care right now, being sold online. We've covered that. Heart Gallery of America, they're selling them online on the open market. Stripping of identity theft, stealing their identity, rewriting their birth certificate, rewriting their name at any time in their in their age, from childhood to a teen, giving the adopter trafficker the ability to hide the child from its identity and who that child was. If you imagine being a 12, 15-year-old and being forced to have a different name, unconscionable crimes against children. I'm in the comments. I don't post my information. Yeah, they get all the money. Lots of money involved here. Unfathomable amounts of money. Just get back to a picture, but to know that who created Facebook? It's all a charade, people. The internet solves everything. We could have solved all the world's problems decades ago, but these people are powerful. In the beginning, I didn't think they'd be able to do it. It's the free wild wild west of freedom, and no, it's not. They can dominate anything. They can crush any competition like a cockroach. It's easy. These people are too rich, too powerful. They shut down MySpace for a reason. They created Facebook for a reason, and its style, the news feed, how we get our content. They get so many limits on restrictions. They keep us basically dumbed down. So it's very important to watch who you follow, the information you get, and anybody that has a very high ratings, you have to question them immediately. All these people, because anyone talking about an election, a ticket, a vote, none of those things matter. A long time ago, the votes are rigged. It's not about Russia coming in and wanting to rig an election. It's so stupid. The whole documentary that she did, Shadow Government here, doesn't talks about, oh, they're so sophisticated in predictive programming analysis, and we know what you're thinking, and we can poke you in any way we want and get you to react the way we want. And you tell me they're not going to rig a freaking election on a freaking computer that they freaking run the whole freaking thing on? It's ridiculous to think that there's a legitimate vote out there. That's what's so important. Your vote does not matter. It's rigged. It's completely rigged. There's no legitimacy. They're showing you high crimes and misdemeanors, data mining. They mentioned the 2012 Modernization Act to proliferate propaganda to American citizens. So we were on that in 2011. They did it. It started he signed the document like the day before New Year's Day, and then New Year's Day it became law that they can propagate propaganda to American citizens for claims of to give images to outside countries when it's actually to control our country. So know who owns Facebook, very important. They know everything, but understand that the real value is is mind control, and it's people believing false fronts, false information, that your vote matters, waiting for relief, waiting for some politician to do something. They got you. You're in their trap. You're in their matrix. No one can help us like we can all help ourselves working together. And just that the government is not there for you, hasn't been there for you. It's been going on for a very, very long time. The corruption. Looking at the comments, go to the bottom here. Okay, Patrick said used elections. Okay, yeah, there's no elections, there's selections. These people are blackmailed, put in there. To think that there's a legitimate election with the volume of misinformation and control of the internet and control of electronic voting, what a joke. What a serious joke. We have to demand receipts when we vote. It's really simple. Put the paper trail out there. It's enough's enough. That's why the president wants to be in the polls, and again, Trump being inserted, he's all compromised. The way they bring in the Russians, why didn't they just bring in Korea? North Korea wants to rig the elections, or China. They played such a stupid card. Well, who are we going to say wants to rig the elections? Well, it's the Russians. They're back. The Red Scare. Come on, people. Really now. Looking at it's not just the dark web. Okay, this dark web thing. There's no such thing as the government knows about the dark web, created the dark web, creates it to trap people, creates it to compromise people, blackmail people, get people looking at stuff they shouldn't be looking at. Nothing goes on the internet unless they want it to. All child porn is allowed to proliferate on the internet with all these major distributors of website data, internet data, the Time Warner, Spectrums, Cox, whatever it is. They're allowing all the porn to proliferate, all of it to run down the river for a reason. You could eliminate it. They'll censor you on a song, copyright within minutes of you posting it, and you tell me they can't put scanners on to get rid of child porn on the net. Again, 88% child porn, foster kids. It's all being used by foster kids. That's the black hole. They're not telling you that. The adopted kids. And it's just used as a weapon. They're weaponizing child pornography to compromise people and trap people, frame people, cripple children. And they're just not telling you where it's all coming from. Oh, they'll tell you, 60% of sex traffic victims from foster care. Well, what's that percentage of child porn is foster kids? So you never hear about the foster kids being rescued from these a child porn industry. Of all the foster kids, over half were, of all the sex trafficked child victims rescued, half were foster kids. No, it's greater than that. It's about 88%. It's easier because they can afford to fight, remove, and X search engine. You get all the money. I don't post my information. It's great. Yeah, if you could save your children, grandchildren, it's so easy for these people to target you, and they're creepy. They're creepy and very powerful. And these so-called mandated reporters, but the ones anonymous, the anonymous reporters, anything goes, people. That's why everything's so screwed up. Everything's in place to make things better, but there's no integrity anywhere. Nobody wants to do their job. So yeah, I think I covered it. Thank you, everybody. The Milli Vanilli, blonde bombshell, want to blow the whistle with this telltale. What is it? This is her shadow government video. It's interesting. We knew a lot about it. The power of mind reading and conditioning the mind through media, because it's been going on in music and TV forever, and they applied those principles to the internet. And took it to a higher level and dominate all the major websites. They own them. They created them. So there's no mystery here of the power of mind control, conditioning, social, creating culture, creating criminals, creating failure, and taking it to the internet and controlling news feeds. Yeah, here's Tori here. You're looking at her here, the whistleblower of the year. Her and Mr. Veteran. The authority veteran figure. It just doesn't happen. Snowden, fake. Bradley Mann. What's really going on? What their agenda is for releasing this video, we're trying to keep people's minds focused, moving forward. Try to give, hopefully, something I've said here. It ticks something to think a little deeper outside of your vote, your election, these politicians. How, again, we hold all politicians complicit with kidnapping, child trafficking of children, because none of them are talking or walking in Nancy Schaefer's footsteps. Nancy Schaefer spelled it all out, black and white. There's no gray areas. Taking children for money, incentives to do it, corruption, fraud, fabrication of evidence, withholding evidence, targeting children for separation from their families for money. Nancy Schaefer. Maybe we should just end with that. People want to tell me what if it's all BS. Why am I covering it? it's for the children. It's to get people's minds where it needs to be, that we have an opportunity here to force Trump's hand to sign the executive order to stop separating families, close down CPS. We're at the peak of our game. We've never had this much attention to child abuse, child trafficking. We've been fighting for the children for years, over 15 years, but 7 years deep in the trenches. So we have a perspective that you can't really find in a lot of other places. And we're not allegiant to any political party. That's how we can offer very simple solutions to shut this funding system down, to demand an executive order. We have the people, and the momentum is gaining to do this. And that's what people need to know. Instead of saying Trump 2020, say, please, Trump, close CPS. Please, Trump, close CPS. And get that, hammer it out there, hammer close CPS, hammer shut down CPS, hammer stop funding CPS, hammer restore the Constitution. And something can happen. It can really happen. I mean, they don't have the minds no more. The minds are not in a cloud. They want immediate action from people in a position to do so. And to call them all out. They're all comfortable people. They're going to continue to be comfortable. As long as you think your election matters, your vote matters, that something's coming, they're not going to do anything unless something is you have some leverage. Looking at the comments, yeah, Nancy Schaefer, unblocked. Biggest way for who guards CPS when needed? Yeah, cops. We've already been called. There's whole new waves of looking at what CPS does, what the cops do. That cops are a pipeline to foster care and black market adoptions and child trafficking and sex. All the abuse is happening in foster care, people. We have 430,000 children in foster care. 130,000 of those are ready for adoption. Their parental rights are terminated. That's a mass amount of children. Come on, people. Mass are ready for a new social and a new social security. Oh, it goes on and on. This is all part of an illegal taking of American information, selling it to Cambridge. Yeah, these foster agencies and how they're pushing the envelope, because it's getting harder to do what they do. Okay. And it's because of websites like us, people that talk about what's important. It's getting harder for them to traffic children, to find traffickers. That foster parents are classified as child trafficking. It's child trafficking. Don't tell me there's good ones. No good one would ever traffic a child whose parent wasn't charged with a crime and not going to be given constitutional rights. Period. Case closed. Nothing else to talk about. Don't tell me I've been doing it 20 years. I'm good. No, if you're good, you wouldn't get involved in a corrupt environment. You're contributing, you're facilitating, you're aiding and abetting. You don't drop the bombs, but you deliver them on a trailer. You're a revolving door. Foster parents, adopted parents. We have to restore the Constitution, and then you could be a foster parent. You could say you're good. Once these parents are charged with crimes, mandatory to have your children taken from you, then you can say you're a good foster parent because you're there for them and there's no family available. Well, I think I just might go to a Nancy Schaefer video. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go to a Nancy Schaefer video. Because you learn something every time you watch Nancy's videos. The unlimited power of Child Protective Service. Rolling.
Well, my name is Nancy Schaefer, and I'm from the state of Georgia in the United States. And thank you for your gracious invitation to join you tonight. And thanks to all of you who have made this incredible World Congress of Families #5 in Amsterdam possible. It's a privilege for me to join you tonight and to be with you in some pro-family policy here. I will share with you on the unlimited power of Child Protective Services. I served in the Georgia State Senate. And after 4 years of viewing the ruthless and unsparing actions of Child Protective Services, also called CPS, which I will use tonight, I wrote a scathing report entitled "The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services." Thank you. The report cost me my Senate seat. Here's some copies of the report if you'd like to get one. However, there are causes worth losing over. And this is one. I'm going to talk about some of the problems and then some realistic, maybe, solutions for families and children, and maybe look to some steps that we can take. This is not to say that there are not those children in wretched situations who need to be removed. There are, and we all agree. But tonight, I'm talking about those children removed from their homes intentionally for profit. Children are seized unnecessarily from their families due to the federal aid created in 1974 entitled the Adoption and Safe Families Act. It offers financial incentives to the states that increase adoption numbers. To receive the adoption incentives or bonuses, local CPS must have more children. They must have more merchandise to sell. Funding is available when a child is placed in a foster home with strangers or placed in a mental health facility and medicated, usually against the parents' wishes. Parents are victimized by the system that makes a profit for holding children longer and bonuses for not returning children to their parents. This is abuse of power. It is lack of accountability, and it is a growing criminal political phenomenon spreading around the globe. Oftentimes, but not always, poor parents are targeted to lose their children because they do not have the wherewithal to hire an attorney or fight the system. Being poor and lacking proper housing does not mean your children should be removed. CPS has redefined poor to mean psychologically inferior. Therefore, it is in the best interest of the child to be removed. Best interest, of course, has also been redefined at the child's expense. It has been reported over and over that 6 times as many children die in foster care than in the general public. Once a child is legally kidnapped and placed in official safety, the child is far more likely to suffer abuse, including sexual molestation and or rape. Case workers and social workers are often guilty of fraud. They withhold and destroy evidence, and they seek wrongly to terminate parental rights while being protected by state immunity. There is a huge bureaucracy made up of judges, court-appointed attorneys, guardian ad litems, social workers, state employees, court investigators, therapists, psychologists, psychiatrists, foster parents, adoptive parents, and on, who are looking to the children in state care for their job security. Judges have control over private living arrangements and income of 48.3 million Americans. The United States Census Bureau reported in 2002 that 40 billion in transfer payments were made between households of custody parents and other parents. That money, 40 billion, is under the direction and control of family court judges in environments covered with confidentiality laws that protect the wrong people. Fathers are victims of this unjust system. Child support payments, even without having visits with their children, are choking the very life out of fathers. 3 fathers, of whom I am aware and have been in touch with, committed suicide in the last 12 months because they lost the opportunity to even visit with their children. These are These are crimes against humanity for financial gain. Rights are removed from parents, human rights, civil rights, and even religious rights. One illustration of what took place in my district is that after so many calls, I decided to call a meeting in one of the counties of my own district. I personally called 37 families that had been in touch with me who had all lost their children, grandchildren. I had them meet me in the library one Saturday morning. We started at 9 o'clock and we ended at 9 o'clock. We had 50 families standing outside the door that could not get in. We didn't have time to talk with them. There was incredible anguish and profound suffering from these families. Some children had been taken off the school bus, taken out of the hospitals, or taken out of their homes in the middle of the night, and even worse. It was just an incredible ordeal. These parents, trapped in the system, become like refugees. They're dazed and glazed and have no one of whom to turn. They do not know what to do, and the loss of their children is devastating. After having worked in this arena for several years, I do not believe that a single child comes out whole after having been in this system. Many foster children make up the homeless population of today. I introduced legislation, Senate Bill 415, in my last session. A substitute bill was written at the last minute by the chairman of the Judicial Committee. All the strong points of my bill had been compromised. I was told, accept it, Senator. At least you will get some legislation passed. And I answered with, obviously, you do not know me. I did not come to the Capitol to get legislation passed. I came to make a difference. What can be done? An independent audit should be called on every state of all Child Protective Services departments. I'm in touch with congressmen and state officials, and the door may be possibly opening very slowly. A federal congressional hearing is needed. But let me add, due to the hundreds upon hundreds of cases that I've been called to consider, I placed calls to state senators, representatives in their respective states across the country, asking them to help me with certain families. And I was told, if I help that family, or if I help you, I will lose my job. Abolish the federal and state financial incentives, and those are taxpayer dollars. Those dollars have turned CPS into a business that takes children and separates families for money. Open family court. Remove the confidentiality laws. Give parents their rights verbally and in writing. I even feel that to terminate the rights of parents, the case should be heard before a jury. Family rights and parents' rights must be protected. We do not need more influence like the UN's Convention on the Rights of the Child. It's anti-parent, anti-child, and anti-common sense for the family. There has to be perseverance for any great reform, and great reform is needed in this area. As Charles Spurgeon put it, how do you tame a lion that is well fed? First, he must be brought down. Second, his stomach must be lowered. How do you tame Child Protective Services? It may be only by closing it completely and starting over at the beginning with pro-family values. In closing, let me remind you that there is case law from state appellate and federal district courts and up to the United States Supreme Court, all of which affirm the constitutionality of the rights of parents to actually be parents to their children. There's biblical law too. It goes like this: speak up for those who can't speak for themselves, and for the rights of all who are destitute. Speak up and judge fairly. Defend the rights of the poor and the needy. Thank you.
Greetings, world. We are anonymous. Families are being destroyed. Children are being emotionally torn apart in the United States. This all began when President Bill Clinton signed the Adoption and Safe Families Act of 1997. Since then, taking children from their loving parents has become a multi-billion-dollar industry. Children are now seen as walking, breathing bags of money for corrupt state governments all over the United States. The US government incentivizes the kidnapping of children by providing lump sums of cash from federal funding to the states.
Going to CPS, trying to work everything out with them, thinking my son might be adopted.
Our children are the most precious people in our lives. We must protect them. In many cases, children are taken from their loving parents for the smallest of reasons, such as eating too much fruit or smoking a joint in their own home. Child Protective Services, CPS, has all been known for massive corruption, the falsifying of documents, statements, and the list goes on.
Now, state police issued an Amber Alert for the pair on Monday after she failed to turn her son over to CYFD. On Tuesday, Bryant went on Facebook claiming she's the victim of CPS corruption.
This is a legal, human trafficking mafia with unlimited power and absolutely no accountability.
You want to do You want to take your Want to drink a little bit right now? Let her hold it since she seems to be kind of the calmest right now. Okay.
This is a call to all. Remove your fear and put on your masks. Find all of the CPS groups on social media platforms. Get involved. Do extensive research. Arm yourself with information. If you live in fear of the CPS mafia, then remove your fear. Join with others and fight back. We will push to change the system as long as the CPS uses corrupted methods to destroy our lives.
The Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire, built on taking children and separating families.
This is Nancy Schaefer. She gave up her career, and later her life, for the fight against CPS. The details of her murder are very suspicious, and many believe that she was murdered by the CPS for her heroic deeds. Please research her.
This is not to say that there are not those children who do need to be removed from wretched situations and need protection. However, my report is concerned with the children and parents caught up in legal kidnapping. Having worked with probably 300 cases statewide and hundreds across the country, and in nearly every state, I am convinced there is no accountability. There is no accountability. There is no accountability in Child Protective Services.
CPS is well known for massive corruption and criminal acts.
Assault, burglary, DWI, theft, domestic violence, indecent exposure, prostitution, possession of cocaine and marijuana, and selling alcohol to minors. What do all of these crimes have in common? They are just some of the crimes committed by people who work for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services. That's right, the agency in charge of protecting Texas children. We found more than 370 employees have a criminal background. Some have direct contact with foster kids. David Mendoza pled guilty to assault with bodily injury to a family member and violating a protective order. He's a CPS supervisor in El Paso. Richard Landon was arrested for indecent exposure in 1997, and in 1994, he was arrested for prostitution after soliciting an undercover cop. He also works for the Texas Department of Family and Protective Services.
Look at that baby. Look how beautiful that baby is. They'll get hundreds of thousands of federal funds, especially they put it on a couple psychotropic drugs, and then they'll adopt it out to somebody.
We call all to join together and stop this mafia. Child Protective Services, also known as CPS. CPS custody is one of the most dangerous places for a child. Many children are abused and sometimes even killed.
Somebody hurt my son. I'm filing a lawsuit.
CPS, Child Protective Services, we are waking up to your corruption involved with children, and we will expose you. We are anonymous, we are legion. We do not forgive, and we never forget. CPS, expect us. Citizens of the world, we are anonymous. On March 26, 2010, the United States and the world lost a brave warrior who fought for the rights of parents, children, and families everywhere. This warrior was the late Georgia Senator Nancy Schaefer, who was murdered along with her husband. Their deaths were ruled a murder-suicide, as with so many others that stand against corruption in high places. Nancy had received death threats prior to the murder for her relentless investigation into the child welfare system of the United States. She exposed this broken system for what it is, and she authored an official government report called The Corrupt Business of Child Protective Services, which she claimed that the report cost her seat on the Georgia Senate. In this report, she outlined several cases of abuse, corruption, and pedophilia in the majority of the foster care system that was allowed to continue. Not only was she uncovering horrible examples of negligence on behalf of the system, she also found direct links to high-level pedophilia rings in Georgia, which she continued investigating after losing her seat in the Senate. She discovered that this ring was trafficking children to other states and even other countries. Nancy had just finished a video documentary that would expose a list of high-level government officials involved in a large child trafficking and pedophile operation. This was the reason that she was murdered. the murder weapon. The findings in the case file would be highly convincing except for one major problem. Never before reported. The Schaeffers were not killed with the small caliber gun that the family knew they owned. They were killed with a higher caliber, untraceable weapon that no family member had ever seen before. The weapon was originally shipped to a dealer in a remote part of southern Florida in 1982, and the ownership records have since been destroyed, possibly as a result of a natural disaster. The case file was unable to establish how the Schaeffers, who lived in Georgia during the 1980s, acquired the murder weapon. It also contains no explanation as to why Bruce, her husband, would not use the gun he already owned to commit the so-called suicide murder plan, but instead acquired another gun that just happened was ready to be released within 3 to 4 weeks.
When is this video going to be released? And where is it going to be released? YouTube?
No, we're not going to go YouTube. We're going to go straight to TV with it. We're getting offers from across the country, and we're just kind of sitting on it right now as far as the offers. It's in the editing and post-production right now. I'm predicting that it'll take us 3 to 4 weeks to finish it, put the music to it, get all the documents that we need to back it up. 3 to 4 weeks to finish it. 3 to 4 weeks to finish it.
William Fain knew how important this video documentary was to Nancy Schaeffer, not to mention all the children that it would have saved. If it was released, this lost video documentary would have destroyed evil and saved so many families. William Fain even provides some details of the content included in the video documentary. This shows how powerful this video will be.
So we've got to put a stop to this, and I believe that this film and documentary is going to expose the horrors of this, and I plan on going nationwide with it.
What's the name of the film?
I haven't named it yet. I think what we're going to name it is, me and Nancy talked about it, was exposing, in the best interest, exposing the horrors of DFACS in Georgia.
And again, DFACS stands for?
Department of Family and Children's Services. Well, we've got one child that was raped. I think one of the worst rapes I've ever seen. 2 years, 8 months old. But DFACS didn't seize this child because they knocked on the door. It was of a rich doctor, so they believed the lady that answered the door said, "Oh, he's not here," and yet her son was raping the child in a back room. We have the evidence. The child's dead. We have all the paperwork. One of the worst stories I've ever seen in my life. You're going to hear a story about a father who was really not even the dad of the child, but he signed the birth certificate. The mother gets caught on drugs. They came and seized the child from a father who has a good job, who offered to take care of it, put it in foster care, and by the time the child was 4, was raped 3 times by foster care parents. So they're taking our children out of a good situation sometimes and put them with these foster care. We had 2 returned the other day. Hadn't seen the mother in 30 days. When they left, they were making good grades in school, clean and healthy. They returned with life, worms.
The video production that Nancy Schaeffer paid William Fain to produce was never released. William Fain never talks about it anywhere, and there is no sign of it on his portfolio. So, what happened to Nancy Schaeffer's documentary? This video documentary is damning by itself. The real documentary footage would be the scandal of the century if ever uncovered. This would show the truth with evidence of why she was murdered. These are our children and the very future of humanity. If we do not stand for them, we stand for nothing. We will never forget you, Nancy Schaeffer. We are anonymous. We are legion. We do not forgive. And we do not forget. CPS, expect us.
Nancy Schaeffer was the reason Nancy Schaeffer was killed was she had decided to totally demolish the Child Protective Services in Georgia because she found out they were filled full of pedophiles.
And got in touch with Nancy Schaeffer, Senator Nancy Schaeffer, and started to get involved with her. And Nancy helped her out in her case, and they became very close and shared and started working with her. And actually, 5 days before.
To go to our guest. Now, I saw a YouTube video of her giving a speech, and in 5 minutes, she boiled everything down I try to explain
about the CPS and the bounties on taking kids and how there's no due process. She's State Senator 50th District. Senator Schaefer serves her constituency in 8 counties that make up 50th District in Georgia. She's got a long, illustrious career out there fighting corruption. She's also the head in her state of the Eagle Forum. And so she now joins us, and we appreciate her standing up eloquently and fighting this. And so we appreciate Senator Schaefer for coming on. Nancy, it's good to have you here with us.
Thank you. It's good to be on with you. I appreciate all you're doing.
Thanks for holding while I was ranting for 5 minutes about the DHS document saying veterans are the #1 threat to Homeland Security. Yeah. Were you aware they're training the Boy Scouts for gun confiscation?
Well, I've heard that they are training boys. I didn't know that it's Boy Scouts.
Yeah, it's Boy Scouts, school groups, public school groups. This is just one. What do you think of all the new documents coming out demonizing veterans on a separate issue?
Oh, it's awful. It's just awful. It's unconstitutional and it's wrong, and you just can see the direction that we're headed.
I got to be honest with you, Senator. I mean, I knew the globalists were evil, but it's even hard for me to believe they're this bold.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, training 14-year-olds to go after the military. I mean, that's right out of East Germany.
That's right. This is that community service that we're hearing all about.
Absolutely.
But it certainly has a different definition, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Ma'am, I'm going to try to just sit back and shut up because I'd like you to break down, but with a little bit more time, what you gave in that speech. I know you've given a lot, but I saw this particular speech of you, I believe, before the Eagle Forum, really laying out the facts of just how unconstitutional and Kafkaesque the CPS is.
Right. Well, it is unconstitutional, and I'm sure you have many listeners that know that children are being taken away from their parents in a ruthless kind of behavior by caseworkers and social workers and investigators, and the bureaucracy is very huge. That also includes lawyers and judges and therapists and others who take these children from their parents without a cause. And of course, we know that money is being made because of this, and I'm convinced, without a shadow of a doubt, that the parents across this country need to be warned of the dangers of the Child Protective Services nationwide. You want me to just continue on, don't you?
Sure, Senator, lay it out.
The Department of Child Protective Services has become a protected empire that we see going on around us, and it's built on taking children and separating families. As a matter of fact, I could throw in here now that it appears to me that the family is going to have to be destroyed in order for the one world government to completely develop. But this is the taking of children by a protected empire, and this is not to say today that there are not those children who are really being abused, who need to be removed from the wretched situations that they may be in.
But it needs to be done through due process.
Yes, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the families that are having children removed from them with no cause, and then there is no due process available to them after this has happened. And in one county in my district, I had 37 families brought together one Saturday morning in the library to allow them to, without any press and without any Child Protective Services pressure there, to tell their stories. And it was absolutely unbelievable to hear these parents, single dads, single mothers, telling and other parents telling their stories of how their children had been picked up in the middle of the night, off of the school buses, out of schools, out of hospitals, even while they are nursing, and these families had never seen those children again. You have never seen such agony, such suffering, and such crying. And we had 50 families standing outside the door that were not allowed to come in because we already had 37 families inside. It was truly just seeing the work of the Gestapo coming against these families and taking their children from them, never to be seen again. It was very, very enlightening. That day was when we saw what was happening in this one Child Protective Services department in one county in my district in Georgia. And not only that, but they had a separate business going on where they required all of these parents to come in multiple times and have drug tests. And they charged the parents every time. So they had a separate business going on. They had already made over $100,000 in this business.
Well, Senator, stay there. Let's come back and break down the abuses of the Bill of Rights Constitution. For those that don't know, they set up at the turn of the last century these family courts that don't follow the Bill of Rights Constitution. They were actually set up to carry out racial hygiene, or they were first called eugenics courts. And that's why they're separate and new and outside of the Bill of Rights Constitution. It's all completely illegal. And it's come out in the news, all these family court judges are getting illegal kickbacks from the private CPS facilities because they're getting federal funds, and they pay the judges, in some cases, millions of dollars apiece. So that's all this is a bounty on your children. We tend to focus on the CPS workers. The real evil's the judges. They're the ones making the big money, and the private groups. Stay with us, Senator. All right, Nancy Schaefer, you can run on. State head of the Eagle Forum, state senator, 50th district. Well, this is a apropos song to have coming on right now. You can throw your rock, hide your hand, working against the people, and it's just amazing what the establishment are doing as they work against their fellow man. Always advertise.
Going to the comments. Yeah, we're in the comments, people. Yeah, just we're very excited about what we're inspiring here, what we're showcasing, the hearts and minds and the eyeballs that are opening up and realizing what this government has been doing to deprive parents' due process rights, constitutional rights over their children. That's how all this can happen. These fake courts, these dictator courts, terminating parental rights without any criminal charges of abuse or neglect. Imagine that. You lose your children. You've never been charged with a crime. Welcome to child trafficking. Welcome to foster care. This is the foster war. We're founders of the foster war. We've identified it for completely what it is. This is a systematic war on children and families funded by Health and Human Services. Trump is the administrative executive bank director of Health and Human Services. I love it when people chime in here. Let's he's had his dream tweet, but let's push his hand to really save the children and become a literal political icon to save the children, stop child trafficking, stop the money being used to traffic children, take the money off the top of their heads, at least $100,000 a year per child to traffic them, but huge amounts of money in the child sex trafficking rings, all the abuse, all the neglect. It's happening in foster care adoption. Yes, we will bless Trump when he signs the executive order to stop separating families, stop using money to traffic children, and shuts down CPS, shuts down the courts. There's no reason for those courts to exist, no reason for them to be open. Police have child abuse investigation units already, SVU, Special Victims Unit, complete, total child investigating experts, not social workers that can fabricate a case to kidnap and traffic your child for money. Wow, imagine the hurt and the pain that's happening to the children out there. We're just really exhausted, but we've just been on such a roll with people intrigued at what's going on and how this could be happening, and they never knew, and that's what we're seeing here today. It might be an old video, shows how long it's been sex trafficking been going on. As far as I can see, Trump is the only one trying to do it. Okay, we're going to use his momentum. We like his lyrics to his songs that he sings, but he's going to have to really take the throne and shut down these unconstitutional courts. People have died in the military for the future of our children, and they're being trampled on. Everything they ever fought for was a farce, as the Constitution is not there. There's no protections for any parent to have rights over their children. They're using these administrative dictator outside of any common sense and rationale courts to do it. Close the courts now, people. Hashtag that in the comments for me. It's been a long morning, but I can't stop. When I see 300-400 people in here, I got to keep going. I can't let these people go. It's an opportunity, and we're growing, and the comments are coming in, and the people's engagement, and all those things are important. So please, instead of Trump 2020, anywhere you can, Trump shut down CPS. Hashtag Trump shut down CPS. Trump stop funding CPS. Anything, but we got to hammer that out there. We got to make sure he knows that all eyes are on him, his hand, his black magic marker, Health and Human Services, and we will come out in the streets, and the tears will flow down the sidewalks of the families and the pain and the suffering. We want these children returned to their family. We want reparations for the war crimes these courts have been conducting against Americans, the constitutional right violations, the exploitation of the children, the kids for cash, child trafficking, racket, crimes against religion. It's a form of genocide. It's the most powerful tool in the deep state's toolbox to cripple America, to keep you always guessing what the hell's around the next corner. Keep people poor, keep people broke, keep people broken, keep them in prison, keep them on drugs, get them addicted to alcohol, let them have some more babies. And that's how this whole industry works. Failure industrial complex exposed. Again, looking at comments, can't blame Trump. This has been going. Yeah, we can blame whoever's in charge of the bank, Lori, and that we have to push his hands. We like the songs that he sings about human trafficking, and going to put the full face and force of all aspects of his administration to stop it. He's going to be reviewing who's in charge and the resources being spent. He said that specifically. Okay, look at his human trafficking speech when it first came out. He's going to go over what money's being spent, where's it going, what's it being used for, and who's in charge. He's going to review who's running these administrative departments, Health and Human Services, issues all the checks. Can't blame. Can't you want to blame some other administration while there's a raging inferno of fire? Maybe your child's not in frickin' foster care. Your children haven't been trafficked from you. And you want to think, oh, it's not a serious issue. We're in a state of emergency. We have a state of emergency right now. The tears are flowing. The families are crying. The children want to go home. They're being drugged. They're being stripped of their identity with a new name and a new social. Everybody needs to understand exactly where we are right now. That this is no joke. We've got no time to waste. We've got no time to point a finger at the past. We have to go to the heart of the battle now. Who's in charge? Trump knows. It's clear to see he's doing something about it. He's not shutting down the courts, people. He just did an executive order to reinforce foster care adoption. Reinforce it. Traffic them, strip them of their identity, alter their birth certificate, change their name, hide them in the black market adoption, don't monitor them anymore, and do that faster than we've ever done it before. That's Trump's executive order. So wake the F up. We have an opportunity here to really point the finger and bring it all home. Bring it all home for the children. Speak up for them. There's so much suffering. So many have died. We've been in these trenches way too long. And we just want to emphasize the state of war, that the terrorism, the war crimes, these are trauma-based terrorism tactics. The torture these children are going through, it's terrorism. It's Antifa. And Trump's in there, he's singing a good song, but his pen is not signing the right documents. And until we push his hand in the right direction, it may never go there, and we could lose this opportunity altogether. How important of a it's stop separating families, restore the Constitution. If you could hashtag that, people, we want to really emphasize there's no Constitution for parents' rights over their children. These birth certificates are being used like $100,000 a year bonds to traffic them. And when they terminate your parental rights, they're going to change the names and alter identities, alter birth certificates, alter that the child who ever existed. Wow, talk about identity theft. Shouldn't these children have some protections? Thank you for your loves and your a lot of emotions flowing here. I'm exhausted. I've been working very hard many days lately. We've gotten a lot of exposure, um, and my eyes hurt from working hard, and been doing this for many, many years. And there's just an opportunity here that we've never had before. Please don't Trump 2020. Say, Trump, please shut down CPS. Trump, shut down CPS. Even if you just write it, type it, hashtag it. We have to. Everyone needs to understand these courts have to close. There's no reason for them. Child abuse neglect is a criminal matter, should always be in a criminal court, and they're doing nothing but running outside of the constitutional courts to traffic children for money. And we can come down hard on Hillary and Clinton for starting all this crap, and we can praise Trump, but until he closes the doors and shuts it down and restores the Constitution and saves the children, rescues the children, uh, we must keep ringing, pointing the fingers in the right direction and sounding the alarm, ringing the bell, pulling the fire alarms. State of emergency. Restore the Constitution now. Spent so much time on this last 7 years. Um, the foster war and understanding it and making the connection between foster care and the pipeline to prison and that prison, you're much more safer in prison than you are in foster care. Because there's no safeguards. You're alone. You're with strangers. Anything goes. It doesn't have to be the fosters. It could be a son, a relative, somebody living in the house, a boyfriend, and you're vulnerable. You could be preyed upon. In prison, you have a chance. There's others there in prison that will tell you what to do, what not to do, who to hang around with, who not to hang around with, what to look out for, how to fight, how to protect yourself. More children dying in foster care than there are in state prisons. Look at the foster war. It's all the trauma based. It's all the damage to the brains is the same that happens to children of war, separating them from their parents. Even if there's a little abuse, it's still very, very horrific, and they're really not safe in strangers' hands. Um, yeah, stop the war. All the evidence is there, people. Very excited. I love you all for being here. I love our followers. We've been growing exponentially. We've gotten probably close to 11, 12,000 new followers in 30 days. The viewership, the share factor, we couldn't do what we do here if you weren't sharing. We wouldn't be as inspired as we are if you weren't sharing. So your shares are very important to us. And somebody said, "Well, you're telling people to get off Facebook, and you're on Facebook." And we have to use this tool. This tool, it's a double-edged sword, and we have to use it to our advantage. And there's a lot of power in share factor. Uh, um, there's still a lot of power here because there are heads and eyeballs. It's very important that we focus on the children first. And once we restore the Constitution for the children and the parents' rights over their children, they're going to stop that forced vaccination crap that they're pushing on everybody. They want to cripple our children, people. There's nothing beneath them. The virus, the masks, the COVID, all that is mind control crap. It's very evil. These people are coming in full force. They're trillionaires. They dominate every aspect of any major corporation, commodity, product, service in the world. Big pharma, hungry, salivating, ruled by very deviant people, big pharma, and their agenda to use foster kids as guinea pigs. They're literally using foster kids down to age 4, giving them psychotropic drugs. 10, 20 years ago, that would be child endangerment. You'd be arrested and put in prison for giving a child 4 years old psychotropic drugs. These people have pushed the envelope slowly and incrementally, and there's so much money behind it. You can compromise anybody. That's why they're getting away with all the BS they're getting away with now, is because everyone's compromised. They're sold out. They're either a government agent scared for their job, scared for their future, or bribed or blackmailed. Remember these children. Remember Layla Marie Daniels. We've taken these cases personal. Maybe it's too much. Nobody needs to do that. Nobody needs to put yourself in those shoes for so long. But we still have family out there. We don't know where they are. Very concerned about them. We haven't found them. We don't know their well-being. We don't know who they're with. We don't know who they've been trafficked to. Very concerned about our relatives. And we've had relatives trafficked in there and abused, and every bad thing you can think of happening. So we have a very lot of experience. Internal injuries to Layla, age 2, rupture to internal organ. We understand that's a very painful death, and no changes, policies, or procedures. So don't come in here, Trump's doing something, because he's singing a song, and we appreciate his song, and we can understand people liking his music that he plays, but we need him to stop playing and get down, get your little magic marker out, restore the Constitution for the children and families. Thank you for your commentary. Yeah, thank you. So, there's going to be a lot of bozos in here. There's going to be government trolls. That's all expected. So it's really important we focus on not Trump getting elected, Trump pulling out his little black magic marker and signing an executive order to shut CPS down, close the courts, restore America, restore parental rights over your children. Again, serial killers are getting a trial by jury. CPS will take your kids based on claims of neglect, and your rights will be terminated without any jury, without you ever committing a crime. They get away with everything, people. Too much money out there, too much money and bribery and complicity, and that's, they want failure. That's how they all thrive off failure. Remember Grace Parker. This is Jeffrey Dahmer's shit. Jeffrey Dahmer, the way she was abused and put in a wooden box with kitty litter, so she wouldn't smell, decomposing. This is Jeffrey Dahmer adoption. This is a social worker, foster agency supervisor. She's a social worker, works for a foster care agency. Sex traffics her for 14 years before killing her. Husband raping and molesting her for years and going to prison, and they still don't remove her from everybody. Remember Grace Parker. Lots of emotions going on here. As we stir this up, we're tired, returning into an old grumpy person dealing with all this crap for so long. No, because we're actually very excited about your comments, your likes, your shares, the rapid viewership exposure we've been getting. We've been getting up to 100,000 views of video. The share factor, people concerned, people never knew, people not trusting the government now, people not trusting law enforcement, people knowing that there's a lot of corruption out there, people getting set up every which way you can imagine, that there's an industry to set people up, to frame people, to target people based on their race. You don't like them where they live because you want a promotion, you have to get numbers, you need a body count, you need all sorts of things. Wow, thank you a lot. People in my family applied. Trump is the one man. Yes, he's one man. It's one signature. Okay, don't give me this. He's all alone. No, we're gonna support him. We like the songs that he's singing. His lyrics are real good. We don't know who his songwriter is, but yeah, stopping human trafficking, full force of America. His lyrics of his songs are so beautiful, but this isn't about a song. This is about action. We need action. It doesn't take nothing to do an executive order to stop the funding. Nothing. Takes nothing. He's more concerned about TikTok being sold. That they better TikTok from China better be sold to some American company. Did an executive order for that. Did an executive order for children at the border, separations. When's he going to do something for American children and their separation issues? You're looking at a woman being stripped of her 3 babies at the California border, running from Washington. No criminal charges, just running with her kids because they want to traffic them because they're beautiful. Some of the most beautiful children ever seen. They want to traffic her children from Washington. Creeps from hell. These people are freaking creepy people. They're creepy, and they get a high off of brutalizing women like her. How dare the CHP get involved? Are there any criminal charges? Washington? No, there's nothing. It's just a CPS case. We're not going to touch it. You get some criminal charges and we might arrest her and extradite her, but we're not going to touch it. That's what the cops that do their job and have morals do. They don't get involved in no BS. They don't strip her of her 3 babies. That's the look of a mother being ripped of her 3 beautiful babies. A beautiful mother being targeted from Washington. They went and there was like 6,000 letters to the governor of Washington to leave her alone. You know, put the family back. Leave them alone. Nothing. She never got her 3 babies back. They're being trafficked to the black market. Creeps, people. The creeps are running CPS. These are pedophile rings. These are pedophiles. These are child traffickers. They get off on the pain and suffering of others. They get off on profiting off of the blood of terrorizing mothers, stripping them of their children. This is little Layla. Torture, trauma. They gave the killer of Layla, the foster mother, life plus 30 years. She's never getting out. They gave her husband that colluded with the killer, the foster mother, they gave him 30 years. He has to do 30 years. That's the type of abuse they put this child through. Broken arm, starvation. This is the last picture ever taken of her. Remember her. There should only be one Layla in the world. And we want a memorial built for these people. We need a great wall to be built for the children that have died and are missing and never to be seen again. Like Nancy Schaefer said, these children are never whole again and they're never seen again. This horrific murder of an adopted child, what was it? Just months after adoption complete, 2 weeks, and she's being ripped apart, strangled. Look at her hair. They were abusing the hell out of this child. 2 gay foster traffickers, adoption traffickers. They already had adopted kids. They adopted her and they kill her 2 weeks in. And one dies in jail and the other one barely gets anything. Waited 30 hours to call. Stuffed her with suppositories. This one really got me early on, starting out 7 years ago. This case here, the Melody case. These are homosexual, pedophile, child trafficking rings, foster parents marrying children. They're getting married. They get their last name. They get the homosexuals' last names, and they do heinous crimes to them. And there's just so much corruption, people. I don't know how to get that across. All the corruption. Yeah, Kendrea. She was hung on a bunk bed by a rope. They said she committed suicide, hanged in CPS foster care, dangling from a bunk bed, hanged. This is what they do after they torture, rape, abuse them. Anything goes, people. Remember Kendrea. Where else will you get them CPS saying a 6-9-year-old is committing suicide? That's what they're telling you. We have cases of them saying that. They said that, oh, she wanted to commit suicide. A 6-year-old wanting to commit suicide. Well, we can imagine if they're being raped and strangled or tortured every day, who wouldn't want to die? Bryant brothers missing 10 years, all the adoption money still coming out for 10 years. All they can do is charge the traffickers with fraud. They can't charge them with murder, abuse. Haven't seen the kids for 10 years getting that $170,000 in adoption money for 10 years. Social workers smiling when they're stealing babies. A 7-year-old hangs himself, commits suicide after being with the AIDS clinic director, being molested with him, and within 30 days of going to another child trafficker home, he's murdered in the shower with the shower cord. And they said he committed suicide. He wanted this. It was him. Seen a a psychiatrist for 5 minutes and they give him psychotropic drugs. Remember Gabriel Myers. Horrific, Florida. Look it up. CPS says 7-year-old hangs himself and there's going to be changes. These people need to be tried, people. These people that are conducting these operations, they need to be prosecuted. They need to be arrested immediately for treason, committing treason and war crimes against humanity, against American children, placing them in the most dangerous places ever with strangers that are trafficking them for money. Wow. I'm going to go to comments, people. Yeah, where do we go, people? We've done so many videos. We're exhausted. We're just going to try to play a video, try to keep something going here. We do have some viewers, and I hate to just let them go. And when there's an opportunity, we have a market penetration. We're moving in, people. It's almost it brings puddles to our eyes as we witness growth, we witness engagement, we witness people coming in here to comment. This is the epicenter, and it's been going on a long time, and we've been here just blowing the horn on this. All these children died in foster care that you're looking at here. Foster care murders. Oh, you can't imagine the abuse these children go through. Ugh. We just show you the surface, but the bondage, the tape, the ropes, the straps, the whips, the irons, the fires, anything goes. Please, we have to shut down foster care, adoption, and the courts until further notice, until they revamp the whole thing. We want to change the whole thing, people. We got to. Nancy Schaefer said, shut it down, start over. Raped by father and son foster traffickers and then dumped in the middle of nowhere, and then father and son in the family talking at the dinner table with the police mic and talking about how they're going to collude together to get their story straight. What happened to Talia? The battering of children. And right now it's very bad, people, because of the COVID hoax BS and them doing the video courts and video. Imagine having to visit your mother through a video camera. It's awful what they're doing. There's no touch, there's no feel, there's no sense. That's what cripples children. They need that touch. They need that bond. They've been in a mother's tummy. They're young. They're used to having a mother there. That touch, the feel, the smell, the trust. They don't have any of that, people. Lots of views. Yeah, we broke probably maybe 100,000 on some of our videos, and we get up to 1,500 live viewers. So we're at a different time, and we're here, people. We have the evidence train. When we launched the foster war 2-3 years ago, foster war, I was at wit's end. I said, we don't need no more evidence. We got it all. The trail, we got enough. I don't need to produce no more evidence, but the evidence just keeps coming out. The dead children, the trafficked children, the abused children, the missing children, the drugging of them, it keeps coming out. But there's just so much war crimes that need to be stopped. No more drugging children, no more money over their head. Money be spent to keep families together. And if you're going to take a child, you better have a criminal charge behind it. No more judge's signature playing dictator over your family. And these aren't even judges, people. They're all the paperwork's fabricated. There's so much fabricated documentation. You can't trust anything, nothing whatsoever in the system. Imagine how scary that is. No accountability, and you can't trust the judge's signature. You can't trust anything. They will make up anything and get away with it. They'll take your kids and make up why they did it later on. Not sure what this This is. Yeah, but we were one of the first to make the correlation of foster prison, and a lot of people are talking about it as a prison system for children. And we've heard rumors of California wanting to get rid of the juvenile prison system. Don't know what's going on with that, but foster care is a hostage prison system. And again, foster care more dangerous than a prison for children. If you had orphanages with children that needed shelters, they'd be safer there than they would be with strangers spread out all over the county, trafficking them for money. Nobody to look out, nobody to bond with, nobody to trust. And being so young and then being preyed upon, disgusting. So we're going to cut it there. Thank you, everyone. I'm going to play a video is what I'm going to do. We want people to get over to the CPS News Network. Let's just play Nancy Schaefer, 2 of 4. And again, InfoWars Alex Jones interviews Nancy Schaefer, Senator, murdered blowing the whistle on CPS. Kids for Cash, they need merchandise. These are quotes from her. They need merchandise that sells so the buyer can choose. This is a modern day kidnapping, child trafficking, pedophile, slave trade exposed by Nancy Schaefer, Senator, Georgia.
And it's for the children. It's a giant industry. And really people with some nasty folks. There's some that just want the money of kidnapping the kids. The others like to do horrible things with the children. That's been proven and all over the news. Senator, so when did you begin to discover these horrors? And what has your fight been like? I mean, because I know discovering this back 12, 14 years ago and fighting it myself and getting calls at hospitals when a newborn baby's literally jerked off the mother's breast with no judge's order even. I mean, it shook me to the core. It's made me actually cry when you're around the families and see the pain, because it's worse than a death. When grandma dies, she's old, you love her, but you expect it to happen, and it's sad. But when you see families with the joy turned into a nightmare with their young being snatched, it hits you at a core level. And frankly, it tears your guts out. And then I'm going to be honest, then you want to kill people. Senator, I mean, tell us about your journey and then more of the horrors.
Well, it has been horrible. It really has. And let me just say up front here now that my writing the corrupt business of Child Protective Services, which you probably have read at some point or another, that prompted me, of course, to give the speech at Eagle Forum for the conference last year, at the end of the year. I lost my Senate seat over this. And in working, and let me say that there are causes worth losing over, so it hasn't distressed me that much. It's just given me more time to work on this issue and other issues. But in calling around the country to other state representatives and senators, asking them would they help this family or that family that have been contacting me, they have told me that if they help, if they do anything, they will lose their job. Isn't that interesting?
Oh, it's a mafia.
And of course, it cost me my Senate seat. But that's okay. That's okay. We're moving forward. We're exposing what is being done. And you mentioned a few minutes ago about the judges and the money. I wanted to share with you that the Census Bureau has reported that in 2002, $40 billion in transfer payments were made between households. That money is under the direction and the control of family court judges.
And that's only the tip of the iceberg. Of course,
that's right.
You break this down so well, but there's bounties on children's heads.
Yes, there are. As a matter of fact, we just learned a few days ago that an order had even been placed to one of our Child Protective Services departments for a particular kind of child that they wanted. So there is a bounty on these children. As a matter of fact, when you break it down as to exactly what is happening to promote these financial incentives, you have to go back to the Adoption and the Safe Families Act that was set in motion in 1974 by Walter Mondale, and then later was expanded upon by President Bill Clinton in 1997. And what this act did is it offered cash bonuses to the states for every child they adopted out of foster care. So in order to receive the adoption incentive bonuses, local child protective services need more children. They must have merchandise, which is the children that sells. And you must have plenty so that the buyer can choose. Some counties are known to give $4,000 to $6,000 bonus for each child adopted out to strangers, and an additional $2,000 for special needs children. And of course, this money just continues to follow the child for years and years and years. And the employees work to keep those federal dollars flowing.
And that's why 67% of children nationally, and that happens to be the average in Texas as well, we have the state hearings on this, are on multiple psychotropic drugs, because once they give them a designation, then the cash amount goes way up.
That's right. You're exactly right. You're exactly right. There's a baseline number. There's a baseline number of expected adoptions based on population for each state. For every child that DHR or Child Protective Services or whatever it's called in your particular state can get adopted, there's this bonus of $4,000 to $6,000.
All right, Senator Schaefer, stay there. I'm sorry, we've got to break. That was a short segment. Long segment coming up. I want to get into what you just talked about, the ordering certain children. We know the blonde-haired, blue-eyed gets the top cash, and that's been confirmed. So they're trafficking in your children.
We're on the march.
You know, it's hard to talk about this subject. Listeners need to understand something. I've lived it. I've viewed it. I've watched it. I've been to family courts. Here in Austin, it's so corrupt. It's not just little kids they're grabbing. If you're late to class 3 times in Travis County, they charge you with truancy. Now, the state statute says it's way above 10 unexcused absences in one semester. Last time I checked the law, it changes sometimes. But to the point is, it's a whole bunch of absences. But they have portable buildings built on, and they send these family court judges out, and they call the parents in the morning, and they put this on CBS News. I mean, I knew it was happening, but it was on the news. They commit this crime right out in the open like it's good. And they say, you were late to class, and you're going to sign this agreement, or I'm going to put you in juvenile hall for 6 months. Now, the judge, she goes, for contempt. It was Judge Jean Muir, who has huge facilities named after her. Talk about witch-like. And she was on there going, you understand? You know, with this face on TV, I got to find that clip somewhere. She's like, you understand me? And the dad's like, do what he says. And the kid's crying, I'm sorry, I was late to class. I'm sorry. Then you sign. Now they've got you contractually. That was the trick. She couldn't have put you in jail. Now they've got you contractually, affirmed adjudication. Now you're in the system. Now they got you. And it's come out, judges all over the country getting over $1 million a piece in many cases, to put girls who were late to class in jail in Ohio or in Illinois. A girl wrote something bad about her principal, making fun of him, and they arrested her and gave her 6 months in a labor camp. Remember that? We can pull it up right now if you don't believe us. And it turned out the judge was getting over $1 million a year to fill the private prisons, and they were doing kickbacks. Oh man, keep them coming. Oh God, the federal money's incredible. Keep them coming. We need more. I mean, this is like Shawshank Redemption. So take my film Endgame, and then we're going to the senator. In there, we have a clip from the state Senate, and the representative asked her, Susanna Hupp asked her, she says, why do you put 60+% of the children on Prozac type drugs? And the head state board psychiatrist says, well, they have bad genes. There's no test for bad genes. They do. They just make it up. Anyways, ma'am, please continue with the bounties, because we've confirmed these, but you separately brought them up. For folks that don't know, the adoption agencies put out little bounties. This is all even done on the up and up, but there's also a little under the table. Tell us about the bounties on people's children.
Certainly, these children come with bounties because we know that the incentives are available there. The federal incentives are available, and they can be $4,000 or $6,000. But actually, there is a beginning formula in which each bonus is multiplied. And this sounds complicated. It really isn't, but this is what the states go by. Each bonus is multiplied by the percentage that the state has managed to exceed its baseline adoption number. Therefore, the states and local communities work hard to reach their goals for increased numbers of adoptions for children in foster care. So therefore, you get to the end of the year and a Child Protective Services Department in some state or in a county there in the state may not have taken as many children as they need to, and they have their formula or their bonus increases on the wall, and it tells exactly how many more children they need by the end of the year.
So it's just like a sales shop at a car dealership. They got the sales manager. You're not going to reach your goal, Bob.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
In the cases I saw, in this one case, there was this auto mechanic and his young wife, and she had tested positive 3 years before. They don't tell you when at the hospital they're testing your blood. They go, she's got marijuana in her. No nut judge, no jury, no second test, no process. They come and take the blonde-haired, blue-eyed baby. Well, this is 3 years later, and so they contacted my show, and they said, we're pregnant. We're going back in the hospital. We just want to make sure they don't try to take them. They call. I leave the radio that day. I drive down there. I go in with a camera. The cop say, turn your camera off. I say no. We open the door up, and the cop, and Mike Hansen was a witness to this. The camera doesn't pick it up very well. Mike Hansen was there. He got there even before me. And the cop actually had his hand on her neck, making her sign it. You can't make this stuff up. This country's so gone, folks. And because they have special CPS cops just assigned to them who are particularly devilish. And they took the baby off her breast, the newborn baby disappeared. And then we go to the court. They didn't even fill out the right name. They said the baby was 3 years old and that this lady had done all this abuse. The forms aren't just lies. They're so lazy and so criminal, they don't even care. They just use old forms and on. Have you ever seen that, Senator?
Well, I haven't exactly seen that. I do know that they take children right out of the hospitals, and sometimes they're 1 or 2 days old. But the caseworkers and social workers oftentimes, very often, are guilty of fraud, and they do withhold the evidence, and they fabricate the evidence. And their whole goal is to terminate the parental right of the parents. And parents are just left at the mercy, and all of this in the best interest of the child. Those words, in the best interest of the child, have been redefined. It's not in the best interest of the child. The bottom line is taking the children for money.
And the law was written, for those that don't know, I'd like you to speak to this because I know you're an expert on it, so you can speak to it. It was written to where, we're supposed to keep the family together and give it to grandparents or the other spouse. Grandparents are now don't like how the parents are operating. They advertise on TV to tattle. The grandparents go and tattle, and then they don't get the children 9 times out of 10. Yes,
there are lots of grandparents that cannot get their grandchildren, even when it would be best if say the parents are on drugs. Someone does need to have access to those children, but oftentimes the grandparents are turned down. Now, there is a policy that you're supposed to secure a relative immediately for those parents, but oftentimes that relative is never sought out. The grandparents are never given the children, and a stranger then comes in and takes over the lives of those children. And there is absolutely no financial resource or no real drive to unite the family back together, or to keep them together, or to provide any effective care for the family. That is completely gone. Now it's destroying the family.
Well, right out of high school, I learned about this because for the summer I worked for a large carpet cleaning place. And we would go to these houses, because we might go to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 houses a day sometimes. And I'd say, what is this? And it'd be usually a middle-class house, 5-bedroom. Parts of it be nice. There'd be rooms locked. There'd be kids walking around, in shorts with their shirts off, ages 3 to 10. There'd be marijuana smoke. There'd be some fat. It always looked the same. Some pervert-looking adult, and then because you'd be in a 2-man team, and I was with the older guy who knew about it. He goes, "Oh, this is some foster parent house." I'm not attacking all foster parents, folks, but I saw what it is. It's lazy potheads or alcoholics that get 4 or 5 kids, and that's their business. is they warehouse them, and they're always getting caught killing them or locking them up or giving them one hot dog a day, bread and water, because they want all that money for their drug habit. And that's why I've seen statistics of foster parents being 5 times more likely to abuse children than any other group.
You're exactly right. The children are much more likely to be abused in foster care than at home with their own parents. The beginning of this journey for me began with a grandmother who was trying to get her 2 granddaughters in one of the counties in my district. The Child Protective Services had removed the 2 little girls from their mother, who was very young, and they based it on the fact that there was an unopened can of beer in the front of her car. They took these 2 little girls over to an adjoining county, put them in foster home over there where they had 18 children, all kinds of little rooms downstairs in the lower level of this home. And one of the caseworkers in that county was a pedophile who lived in that home and regularly sexually molested the children who were in the foster care. When this came up in court, I went to court with this grandmother and sat in the back of the courtroom. And we had a good attorney that day who pulled the walls down, who cross-examined one of the older children in this foster home, and she admitted that there was an inappropriate relationship between the foster mother and the caseworker. And then it got a little worse, and then the juvenile court judge got all nervous and said, "Counsel, meet me in my chambers." And they went out and stayed 5 minutes and came back. And our attorney just looked at us and out loud said, "It's nothing but legal kidnapping. That's all it is, legal kidnapping." But let me tell you what happened.
Did they have the child back? We
Pressed, it's called DFACS in Georgia. And we pressed and pressed and pressed. The judge said those children will be removed within a week. Well, a week was gone, 10 days was gone, the children were still there. We kept leaning on them to get those children out of there. And out of the blue, someone called this grandmother in Florida to tell her that they were bringing the children from Georgia to the state line. Would she drive up to pick them up? She, of course, said she would be there. She got the children. They didn't have any clothes. One was not wearing shoes. Mm-hmm. She took them home. And within 3 days, that juvenile court judge drew up a new order. And she gave the 2 little girls to their father, who lived on the West Coast, who had never been involved in their lives, and who was involved in adult entertainment. I pulled his business up on the internet. Pornographic. Awful.
That's why they gave it to him. And in fact, you come to the next point, Senator.
Within 3 days, that father was knocking on the door of that grandmother and took those 2 little girls screaming and crying to the West Coast.
Well, it's better than that in that death pit down there in that house with all those little kids. Now, Now, for those that don't know, I found out about this because I walked into these pits, and I probably only saw that summer 7 or 8 of them, but I mean they were all the same. And literally they're hell pits. And I'm Senator. You notice everything I've told you. You've seen the same thing because we've had the same similar experience, fighting this. And I just do it a little bit of the time. I psychologically shy away from it because it's so. Well, it just makes me feel.
Take its toll on you.
It makes me feel very aggressive. It makes me want to. But the point is that when it comes right down to it, how many Homeland Security deputy directors of states have been caught with little kids? How many senators and congressmen, with the pages, and how many DHS officials, that want to stop child abuse, it turns out, are pedophiles? When you get down to it, you got a couple groups. You got parents you've got children who were abused, who think that all parents are abusive and they're gonna punish the family. Because I went to college with some people that were going to be social workers, and you'd be out drinking beer, and the girl would say, I just can't wait to take kids from these bad parents because I was abused. So there's those mentally ill people. Then there's pedophiles who want access to kids, and then there's scumbags that just want money. And I got to say, that's basically what makes up CPS in my experience. And I think, from what I've seen, I'd probably say 30% of them are pedophiles. And I mean, and the problem is this crime rate, this crime spree is growing.
Yes, it is.
So can you comment on that? And where is this going? How do we stop them?
Well, I would say that there are definitely pedophiles in the system. There's no question about that, because we know where there's children, there are pedophiles. But they're in schools and they're in churches and they're everywhere where they can get their hands on children. So we know that that's true. And it's got to be brought to an end. It's got to be completely exposed for what it is. And in my opinion, it needs to completely be dissolved. I don't see any good left in Child Protective Services. As far as picking up a child that's being totally abused, the police could do that just as well as Child Protective Services.
And then you have due process. And exactly. We'll take Texas. Did you hear about the Texas Youth Commission?
I don't know.
I mean, there's so many crimes. I'm not knocking you if you haven't.
You're not talking about all those children in Texas that were picked up at one time.
No, that was with that Mormon sect.
Right.
Did you hear about how the child jails and the child facilities had organized pornographic rings and big rape parties for the children, and the state police found out about it and then weren't allowed to stop it, and now they forced the director out because he did the right thing?
I have heard about that in other states, but I have not heard about what happened in Texas. No.
Okay, well, here in Texas, it came out that every major facility was doing stuff that people wouldn't even believe. You can read it in the mainstream news. Now, they used that to pass a law for more money for the agencies. I'm sure you heard about Florida, where it turned out the directors were pedophiles and 3,000 kids were missing and all that. What did they get? More money, more power. The incredible thing is, the worse they get, the more money and power they get.
It appears that way. But all of it is based on money, and that's where it's going to have to be cut off. The federal incentives have got to be cut off and be removed on a federal level in order to get this stopped.
And that's where we go now in the closing minutes we have left in this interview, Senator. And again, we can only commend you and pray for you in this fight, and then politically going after you. Solutions. But before we hit that, I wanted to finish up. Specific orders for specific children that look a specific way. I mean, you've now saying you've discovered that. Right.
We have discovered that. We haven't discovered it in every state, but we've discovered it in many states, and we have so many families calling that are absolutely delirious. They are so desperate. They do not know where to turn, and actually, they have no place to turn for help. And of course, parents, the poorer the families are, those are the ones who are targeted because they don't have the wherewithal to fight the system or hire an attorney. And they are just caught up in it, and many of them are because their children are blue-eyed or blonde or exactly what someone wants, and those families are targeted. So it is just heartbreaking as to what is going on and what we've got to do in order to bring this to an end.
Have you ever heard about what the former head FBI agent in Southern California discovered about the CPS?
The children on the internet, and you can just go through their pictures and choose the one you want.
See how pure evil's just right out in the open now, like it's no big deal.
And then there are some children that even if you might like to, if a really good person who is really trying to help a child will choose that child, oftentimes then they refuse to let these parents have the child. So if your motives are pure as the driven snow, and you're trying to really help get a child out of that system and give them a new life, oftentimes they won't let the child go.
No, they want client houses where they warehouse the kids, a lot of times locked up, and they've ruled, they can legally lock them up and stuff in these little cages. They only want client foster parents that want to run the money in and put them on drugs, because that share with the local CPS.
Right. It is one of the most corrupt situations that we could ever have in this country. And
what we need is to take the country back, have mass trials, and hang about 10,000 of these people high, because this rivals the Nazis. By the way, the Nazis had CPS. That's how they started grabbing people's kids. The year Hitler was elected in 1933, he was a eugenicist. We'll be right back with the senator. Stay with us. Final segment. You know, the senator probably had a million more things she could have told you, but I was interrupting the whole time. But it's because I'm trying to relay and back of everything she's saying that it's so horrible that even when I think about it, and I've been studying it for 14 years, I can't believe it. And I mean, you'll be facing down one of these CPS workers, and man, you're like, I mean, these are demonic, soft, goblin-like creatures. I mean, they're archetypes. Because, I mean, how could somebody go around stealing kids all day outside the law and seeing horror? They enjoy it. They're evil. They enjoy the pain. I'm going to ask.
Yeah, everyone. They do enjoy the pain inflicted. They literally do. That's a high to them. It's like a drug high, a heroin high, or racism high. You know how racists get high off of abusing other racists? It's no different with CPS social workers that stay in the game.
The senator about some solutions, maybe have her back on to go over some more of those and how to fight these people, how to expose them. I got to tell, okay, Senator, what are solutions to fight these demons? I mean, we just get the public educated, what we're doing now about their rights, get bigger organizations together to fight them, Congress, state laws, because we always push to get state laws to stop them, and they always take it over and get more power out of us trying to lobby to reform. How do we beat pure evil?
Very, very strong bill that I introduced to correct it here in the state of Georgia. And of course, that bill was defeated. I also had several parents lined up to come down and do a video, and the video was defeated. And then, of course, I lost my Senate seat. So there's a huge battle over this. And many states don't want to let that money go that they've gotten used to. And one thing we haven't mentioned that I'd like to bring out is how huge the bureaucracy is. It is made up of caseworkers and social workers and attorneys and guardian ad litem and judges and psychiatrists and psychologists, and it goes on and on. The bureaucracy is huge, made up of people who look to the children in child protective services for their job security. And none of these people want to let this be brought to an end.
In fact,
this is where they get their paycheck.
And it's not being brought to an end. It's radically expanding.
Absolutely it is. And they're expanding with it. And we can see the children that are already being sent into mental health facilities. I had a mother that 2 children were put in mental health facilities. And of course, that brings in Medicaid. And these 2 children were on 16 drugs a day.
Good Lord.
So it is corrupt to its absolute core, and we must stand against it. We must keep talking about it. And families that are listening to us today that are caught up in this, they need to continue to fight the system.
Okay, Senator, I got to stop you. We got 45 seconds. What about websites, or how do folks get a copy of your bill to get it passed in their state? I got to have you back for more solutions, but contact info, groups you recommend.
There are just lots of groups that they can recommend, or they can contact me at Eagle Film with your.
Okay, we're here at Heart Gallery of America, Rhode Island. The link, we have a 5-year-old little girl here. She's for sale. Aaliyah, we're going to give her to you. We're going to pay you to take her. You're going to get a monthly fee to take her, traffic her, and we're going to make money off of that. That's how we make our money. With the more adoptions, the more bonus money we get. Little ball of energy, Aaliyah. You can change your name to whatever you want. You can put, if you're a single man, you could put your last name on her birth certificate, and you're basically married to her. You can marry, foster children, and do whatever you want with them. They're all in grave danger, people. We have to rescue these children. Aaliyah needs protections. She doesn't need to be exploited on this website, dressed up in a pretty little dress to sell her to child traffickers. You know what's going to happen. I don't need to tell you. Enjoys going out to dinner or to the store, and does best with clear limits, structure, and routine. Favorite part of her day is bath time. She likes to go on walks, swims, watch Peppa Pig on YouTube. Just a child in severe exposure and severe danger. Aaliyah. This is Rhode Island, Heart Gallery of America, Rhode Island, adoptionri.org. Children being trafficked, being sold, Again, you can name them anything you want. We put, as you can see, we put a little pretty dress on her to sell her. We want to, we got she's been armoralled. They got the wax job, and she's been waxed, armoralled, and there's a good scent here for a child trafficker. These children are being exploited on the World Wide Web. Please, people, don't comment Trump 2020. Comment Trump, shut CPS down now. Trump, shut it down now. Trump, close these CPS courts. Trump, stop funding CPS. Shut down foster care, shut down adoption. It's time to start over. Nancy Schaefer just spelled it all out. She's a very iconic whistleblower, possibly one of the greatest whistleblowers in American history. Unsung. She's not getting the recognition that she needs. They don't want heroes that fight for children and expose government child trafficking war crimes to be a iconic hero. They bury them. They kill them and they bury them. That's what happened to Nancy. Again, Aliyah, grave danger, Rhode Island. They got her on hold right now, so she's on a layaway plan, getting ready to be trafficked on the. Anything goes. Anything goes in these environments. So let's see if we can go to page 2. Again, every state has an expected number of adoptions to go out based on population. They have an expected number of adoptions based on population. This is a deep state agenda based on percentages, based on adoptions, based on trafficking, sales and service. You can say the sale is when they get trafficked. The service is when they have a child out of wedlock, unplanned pregnancies. The service is when they go to prison and they have to go see a judge. And everyone's making money off of destroying children's lives. That's what's most important here. But very, even older children, this one looks about 15. They're still trying to sell her at 15 years old. She should be fully prepared, not allowed to be sold. She's fully not allowed to change her name, not allowed a new social. See what her age is. Born in 03. Okay, so she's 17, and she has 1 year to be adopted, and they're still trying to sell her when she shouldn't be on the adoption block. She should be given support services to be independent, counseling, independent living, emancipation, whatever it is. She doesn't need to be trafficked. Too old. But they're still trying to sell her at 17. So we want all this shit down, people. Help us. Look at these 3 little girls from Rhode Island. Isabella, Shannon, and Sophia, ready to be trafficked, ready for a new name. You're going to get about $25,000 to $4,000 a month to traffic them. Born in 07, 10, and 02. They have a better chance if they're forced to be adopted together than they do separated. They can all look out for one another. You see how they got them all dressed up for picture day, child traffic day, child traffic picture day. It's a rosy environment. Everyone's happy. But we have other websites per state where they're profiling foster kids and making videos. And we had one video the other day where she wanted to see her mother and father. She wanted to be happy with her brothers and sisters, and she wanted a better life. Horrific what they're doing to these children. Horrific that they sell them like this online. Horrific that they have no protections. The oldest one here, 02, she's 18 now. She should be gearing up to be fully funded to take care of her sisters. She should be funded. She should be prepared. Mothering courses, monitoring courses. There's no need to traffic these children, especially the younger ones, to strangers when they have an 18-year-old sister that could possibly take care of. So there's no excuses to traffic these children to strangers and strip them of their identity and place them in dangerous environments. There's no reason for it. We got an on hold child, 16. Again, organ harvesting, body harvesting, international child trafficking, anything goes. No monitoring. Come get your kid, take a 60-day course, pass our background check, take a 60-day course, and you can have this girl do whatever you want with her. And it's just too much danger, people. Up to the 309, looking at the viewership, this is sick. CPS is just, thank you. You're the reason I keep going. My eyes hurt, my hands hurt, my mind hurts, my body hurts. And it's certain comments that keep me going. We keep sharing this stuff. We want to really get the message out because we've been waiting a long time for this opportunity. Please, let's stay on Trump. Don't say Trump 2020. It's Trump take action against CPS. Trump shut down CPS. Trump stop funding CPS. Trump shut down CPS courts. Those are the things that should be talked about. He sings a good song. We like his lyrics, his songwriters, whoever's writing his lyrics to his songs. But it's time to get serious and no singing. It's time to take immediate action. Our children need to be saved. What? Taking poor families' kids? Where is this happening? Everywhere, Miss Farmer. Public executions. Thank you, Miss Moore. The comments are coming in. The people's. So we're riding a wave that we haven't had before, people. There's a wave of children being in danger, a wave of government corruption, a wave of poverty induction into our communities. And we have to ride that wave and let it be our wave. And we're not going to crash on this wave. We're going to ride it out. And we've been waiting for this big wave, this surge of public perception that we've never had before. So the tides are rising for the children, people. Let God win this, please. I'm going to be sharing this on my FB. Nazi Zuckerberg, take it down. When he does, I'm sending the screenshot to AG Barr. Millie Weaver just arrested for no abuse. No, it's just Belinda. They arrested Millie Vanilli, the blonde Hooters girl, reporter for InfoWars. See if we can bring a picture of her up here. Yeah, I'm not seeing her here. But yeah, they did arrest her, not for child abuse. Claims of a $50 Obama phone, and they hold a what is it? The kind of court. This I can't even think. Been working really hard today. Trump shut down CPS. Thank you for the love, Andreas. Let's keep that going. Trump shut down CPS. Do your job, Trump. We will worship him. We will take back everything we ever said, and we will come out in the streets and yell for him and not want another president ever if they could just take the strangulation cuffs, ropes, chains off of the children and the families that are suffering. We have so many grandparents that are suffering. They don't have their grandkids. If you have a child here on Heart Gallery, please contact us and we'll go live. We'll put you on live. We want to talk about what it feels like to see your grandkids when you're fully capable to take care of them being trafficked on the World Wide Web. We're looking at California now, Heart Gallery, child trafficking website. Let's go San Diego. They're really creepy down there. All these counties are creepy. All these meet the children. You know, here you go. Just meet the children. This is an online dating, child trafficking, pedophile website. Meet the children. Start here. Here they are. Here are our nation's most vulnerable children. Here are the ones being sold for money. Here are the ones that are going to be stripped of their identity and their social and their birth certificate and their parents and anything they ever thought they knew about their. Oh my God, look what we found here, people. This brings tears. Woo! This brings tears. Look at this. We got a sibling set here. Very young children. My God, do they get any younger than this? Thank you for watching, everybody. We've never seen children being sold this young on the internet. Welcome to San Diego. Welcome to child trafficking. Welcome to Kids for Cash. Welcome to identity theft. Welcome to war crimes. These children are not safe, people. Oh my God. Never seen so many young ones, a cluster like this. This is truly history making. We're going to try to save that picture. See if we can save it. It won't allow us to save that, so we'd have to do a screenshot. But again, San Diego markets the youngest children, toddlers we've ever seen on the internet for worldwide international child sex trafficking. Basically, there's no requirements to come in here to see these kids. They're available to anyone who wants to target a child for trafficking. They can get anyone in the U.S. to do a 60-day course, pay that person, and have that child delivered within 6 to 8 months. Have this cluster of children delivered to them and collect money on top of that. Looking at the comments, praying for you and your granddaughter. Welcome FB censorship. If FB knows about this, he'll probably is already working on this. If Trump knows, well, we're going to make sure he does know, people. We're riding a wave now that we haven't had before. So it's our job to make sure he knows. It isn't about Trump 2020. You don't need to say that. Let's say Trump shut down CPS. Shut down CPS and foster care. Give us back our kids immediately. Of course, we want the children returned. Again, you're looking at Chantel, Alice, and Noah, possibly 2 twins and 2 others. Just a cluster of little girls being sold online to the black market. Adoption. Kids for cash scam. Praying for you and your granddaughter. No, he's not. First, he's got to stop touching his own daughter. Hey, if he stops all the war crimes on 430,000 children, we will open the door for forgiveness to anything and everything he's ever done. If he surrenders 430,000 children and puts all money to keeping families together or supporting the children in safer environments than foster care. The strangers' homes, the stranger danger, kids for cash, it's over. Stop drugging the kids. We'll make Trump a saint, and took down Mark Zuckerberg as a bad man. Trump shut down CPS now. Lock up Bill Gates, George Soros. Thank you, Deca. Thank you for the hashtag Trump shut down CPS. Shut down CPS. Thank you, Melly Woke. You're the reason we keep going. We're approaching 4 hours, just waiting for the phone to shut off as they have 4-hour limits on our lives. We're expecting probably at least I would say 25 to 35,000 views on this. People are looking. They're looking at the comments. How are people talking about this? How are they engaging? I have a video, Hillary in it. Biden 2020. He will do something. Got a happy face. We want Trump to do something. He's been singing a good song. Let's let him take immediate action. There it is, Christy Johnson. Oh man, you have no more. That makes me feel good. It really does. That's a very powerful hashtag you just posted, Christy Johnson. Very powerful. That's the only one that needs to be posted right now. That's if we're just gonna stick with that one, Christy. Trump shut down CPS hashtag. Let's bring it all home. Shut it down. There's no reason for it. Nancy Schaefer said shut it down. It has nothing to do with family values. It's about the trafficking of children and Trump, please help our kids. Yes. But we're sticking with Trump shut down CPS. It's very specific. It's demanding what he needs to do. And we're not going to accept anything else. They have to close these courts, people. Restore the Constitution for parents over their rights over their children. Stop the dictator judges, the kangaroo courts, the rubber stamp courts, the weaponized courts. Trump, stop funding CPS now. Thank you, Benzo. FB, stop censoring. Trump, arrest Hillary. Save the children. Yeah, we really want to. Instead of save the children, it's great. It's brought the lights are already on. Now it's time to put on our high beams and Trump shut down CPS. We know where all the child sex traffic victims are coming from. We're very concerned about these children, San Diego. If you're a relative of these children, Chantel, Alice, and little Noel, you're looking at them there. They're in grave danger for the black market adoption trade, paying people to traffic these beautiful little girls to anybody who passes a 60-day course. These beautiful children have smiles that will melt your heart. it's, at least they're trafficking them together. Usually when CPS gets kids this young, they have the option to separate them. So let's pray they all stay together somehow. But we've had siblings as young as this, 3 years old, brothers and sisters, and they just experience the worst abuse you could ever imagine. So yeah, we're wanting anyone who's a family or relative of the Chantel, Alice, and Granola sisters, to contact us. Let's hear what's happening. We're concerned about these children. How dare they prepare them to have a new identity and strip them, place them with strangers? There's lots of money here, people. The county of San Diego is collecting $40,000 a month just to traffic those 4 children there easily. $40,000 a month. You're looking at nearly $500,000 to traffic 4 little girls in foster care for 1 year. $480,000. That's how CPS foster care makes its money. How all the social workers make their money. We're back at the comments. I don't argue with you, but my friends just vote Biden for a better America. Yeah, it's okay. Let them vote. The vote don't matter. We need markers, executive orders now. We're in a state of war. The war's been going on too long, and we have a big wave we're riding right now, and we don't want this wave to ever be forgotten. That this is the last wave to save our children. That this opportunity may never come again. People's attention, people's eyes open against child trafficking, against the selling of children. Trump shut down CPS. Thank you, Ruby. Yes, Trump shut down CPS. Trump shut down CPS. Hey, we love Trump. We like his lyrics. He's like a Neil Diamond. His songs, his lyrics. I'm going to shut it down. I'm going to spend the full force of America, end it in the U.S. he's singing songs with beautiful lyrics, but it's time to get down to the table and do some executive orders to actually stop selling American children in foster care adoption, the kids for cash scam, the racket. We have it all exposed. I'm showing you they're selling kids online to anyone in the world. And come look at these kids. This is San Diego, Art Gallery of America. The exploitation of the children. Kylie, 12. I am matched. Great news. Kylie has been placed with a resource family. Again, they're trying to change the name of foster care to resource family, people. We're having an effect. We've been blowing the whistle on these people a long time. The terminology they're using, they're calling them a resource family, not foster parent. Willing to care for her and meet her needs. So they have her on hold. A child, Kylie, 12, San Diego, on hold. Pay attention. It's all connected. The truth will set us free. The truth, we have to set these children free, people. No more drugging them. No more alienating them. All these grandparents we've dealt with for years, crying, and we've dealt with their cries. We've heard their voices tremble as they don't have their grandkids. They're not with them. They were there for them. They could have placed them there, but there's more money to traffic them to strangers. Save our children. Children's lives matter. Thank you for finally acknowledging that he's doing something. Now I can get behind what you're trying to do. Yes, when he's doing something, we're behind Trump. We like his lyrics. He's whoever's writing songs. Human trafficking, child trafficking, going to end it all. Full force and weight of America behind it. Military, every apparatus at his disposal to stop it. And now we need him to come off the sound stage and get to the business table and put out that executive order. No more kids for cash. Do what Nancy Schaefer said. Remove the federal trafficking money from Health and Human Services, the incentives to traffic more children every year. It's time to remove all that. No more money over children's heads to traffic them. It's turned it into a business. We have traffickers trafficking as many as 15 adopted children. It's a business. Foster care is a business. Adoption is a business of child trafficking, pedophilia, sex trafficking, organ harvesting, torture trafficking, everything that comes with foster care adoption, being with strangers that are trafficking you for money. All of you have watched Shadowgate. Watch it now. Free Millie Weaver. Yeah, hopefully she'll be out soon. Millie Weaver, InfoWars reporter. Trump is the one walking around grabbing. Okay. Yeah, Trump shut down CPS. Thank you, Benzo. Please, yeah, Trump shut down CPS. I mean, the high fives. That should be. If we make that our number one Trump tweet, it's over. We will get him to sign those executive orders. But we need people, we need volume, we need scale, and they will succumb to the public pressure that we know what you're doing. And if you don't do it, we know whose side you're on. And it's not the children's. This is all about taking sides, taking children's sides before any politician. Stop the trolls. No more kids for cash. Cindy sharing everywhere. Thank you, Cindy. Again, we're at Heart Gallery of America, San Diego. IAdoptYou.org. Children being sold online like animals. It's a modern day slave trade. That's all that CPS has become. Look at this little baby here. People said this is disgusting. How could they sell children online like this? You know, this one here is special needs. It's a boy, 2 years old. I am available. You know, you're going to get $1,500 a month to maybe more, maybe 3,000, depending on the special needs. But it appears that child has been harmed in some way. A lot of vaccine damage, a lot of experimentation with the vaccines. They don't care how many vaccines that damage children. It's an industry. Everybody makes money off of crippled children. The autism 1 and 2 is coming soon. It used to be 1 in 100 10 years ago. But autism is just it's a front for vaccine. A lot of vaccine damage where they're injecting newborns with vaccines they don't need, and it's just poison. And then they cripple them, and they're big money for the rest of their lives. Huge amounts of money to cripple children. I'm very concerned about all these children here. They need to be rescued. Please, Lord. Please, military. Please, constitutionalist fighters. Please, Bikers of America for kids. Talk about the foster kids. Talk about what's happening. Come to the heart of the battle. Come to where it's just out in your face. Shut down these courts. Unconstitutional courts. That's how they get away with all this. This is a cute little girl, Jessica, still available. Chauffeur, adorable, sweet, kind, loving, enjoys giving hugs, great imagination, likes music. She's been a great deal, been through a great deal. So we want money to be spent to keep children with their families, stop separating them. Looking at the comments. Shut down foster care. Boom. Deborah, it's on. It's on. We got to get those hashtags together. The best ones. Yes, it's a beautiful thing to see shut down foster care. Boom. Yes. We want the foster parents to return the children, surrender them, return them to CPS, get out of the business until foster war demands are met. And that's all abuse, neglect in a criminal court, and their whole gig stops. No more dependency courts, no more judges, one judge ruling over everything. Again, Joshua James, thank you. Jenny Rich, that was very enlightened. Should awake the world. She's courageous for reporting the truth. Maybe talking about Nancy Schaefer, expose the truth. Shut down CPS. Trump shut down CPS. Boom. Lori Duke. Remember that. Remember that. That we got work to do, people. We need to rescue these children. I'm showing you them. I mean, how much heart, gut wrenching pictures of children being sold online do you need to see? How dare they try to change their name and their social and hide them? Why are they playing God with children? Give them a new identity, a new name, change their name, act like they never had an existence with their previous family or where they came from? That's the black market. Foster adoption. Adoption is the black market. It's you thought foster care was dangerous? Oh my God. We have testimony from multiple foster children. Abuse kicks in once adoption is closed. We have 2 and 6 month, 2 months, 6 month adoption, 2-week adoptions closing, and the child's being murdered. We have 6-month adoptions closing and the child's murdered. Let's just go to those children. I think we're going to play a song for them because I get a lot of energy when I play music for the children. It just does something. I could be tired, I could be weak, but once we showcase these children and remember what it is we're doing and why we're doing it, we're going to go to Foster Cemetery. See if we can go there. Foster Cemetery photos. And we're going to go to our Bugle Boy. We're going to remember the children and we're going to sign out. Bugle, what's it called? Memorial. Foster Cemetery, remembering the fallen. Jesse Wilson, 2 years missing, found decomposed. Elsie, 18-month-old, UK. Adoption foster trafficker says she's possessed, kills her. Mariah, overdose, methamphetamine twice in the same foster home in a 3-week period. That's California. Look it up. Mariah, foster murder, overdose of methamphetamine. One of the fosters dies. You know what he was doing to her. Natalie Finn, adopter says Natalie has to go. Started her to death. Going to neighbors' homes for food. Multiple reports of abuse. Found in a room in an adult diaper with nothing in it. Signs in the window, we need food and money. Enough, people. Thank you for standing with me. Thank you for the hashtags. We're going to keep moving forward till death do we part. We want all the children released from hostage kids for cash situations. Foster parents, you will be exposed. If you're good and you really care about children, you will let us fix the system and then come back once it's ready. Stop holding children hostage and being part of a child traffic ring. Sabrina Ray, fractured jaw, punched in the stomach, kicked down into a basement, starved. We have some of the most horrific starvation pictures of Sabrina. Rays of Sunshine Daycare Center trafficking multiple other foster adopted children. They're in the basement with her as they die around a water heater to stay warm, and they witness her death from starvation. Horrific photos of Sabrina. please, demand Trump shut CPS down now. Keep those hashtags going. Share this. You don't have to listen to me all day. Just share the message and let everyone know that this is all we really care about. Natalie Finn, at least 6 reports of abuse and neglect. Nothing done. Ohio. Sabrina Ray. Every bad thing that could happen. Every bad thing that can happen. That's all I'm going to say for Sabrina. In front of other adopted children. Horrific starvation case. Sabrina Ray. Macy Wilson, California, 3 months old. Grace Parker's mother mourns for her loss. Trafficked, adoption trafficked. Abused for 13 years. Jeffrey Dahmer stuff. What else do I need to tell you? The Jeffrey Dahmer adoption. The abuse and the pain she went through. We need warriors to stand up for these children and the families and the mothers. We need the military. They can't be found. We can't find military personnel. We can't get the Saw Man involved in this. He's part of an agenda. You know, the Saw Man, Mr. Military Man, Save the Children. They won't touch foster care adoption. That should tell you everything. Any politician who's not talking about this, you know their position. They're compromised. And no matter how horrible the crimes are, I don't want to lose my job. Emma Salinas beaten and strangled. Melody Vasquez, 2 weeks after completion of adoption. Kendrea hanging from a bunk bed. Said she committed suicide. Alexandria Hill, Texas. Layla Marie Daniels. Viola Van Cleef. Cameron Michael. Tristan Adams, age 2. Luke Glenn. Mackenzie Feewox. Sharon Matthews. Edward Bryant and Austin Bryant, missing for 10 years. Adopters collect $170,000. They can't charge the adopters with abuse or murder. Only fraud. Alina Bledsoe. Natalie Finn. Caden Segal. Alexandria Hill. Macy Wilson. Grace Parker. Alaya Hernandez. Layla Marie Daniel. Alexandria Hill. Samuel Brummett. Madison Perot. Michael Citron. Mackenzie Feewox. Nakia Venant. Does a Facebook Live committing suicide. Ariza Barrera. TLA Palmer, 12. Kendrea Johnson. And all the others Reina del Sol Flores, Tyler Walter, Ariana. Horrific deaths, people. Wrapped up like a Tootsie Roll in blankets, dehydrating for days. Foster traffickers started GoFundMe, make $5,000, and now charged with murder. Gets 32 years in prison for murdering Ariana. Samora Kuzin, 6-month-old, cooked in a hot car in an unlicensed foster home. Talea raped and strangled, dumped in the middle of nowhere. Alicia Missiti, CASA worker, says very concerned about her. Very concerned about Alicia specifically being placed with the father. The father does evil deeds, videotapes it, and buries her in the backyard. I don't need to tell you what he did. Never should have been placed with the father. Cameron Garrett, choking at 1 a.m. Are you going to believe that? Talea Palmer, Ryan Lowell, Layla Marie Daniels, Serenity Denard, missing Super Bowl Sunday 2019 from a foster drugging adoption dump warehouse in the middle of nowhere. Freezing temperatures, 2,000 people look for her over 20 miles. They can't find a shoelace. They said she ran away instead of declaring her a kidnapped, endangered, trafficked, probably murdered child. Faithful, Charisma Marquez, forever, Arizona. Wrapped in a sheet in the attic for 3 years. Adopters collect adoption money. Please, people, it's time we audit adoption. Everything needs to be corrected, people. There are thousands of other charismas that have been murdered in adoption, and the adoption traffickers are still collecting the money. That's why we talk about no accountability, and no one will stop this. They don't want to audit adoption. They don't want to do welfare checks on all the adopted children because they'll find they're nowhere to be found. They've been murdered and buried and stuffed in the attic for years, and the adopters are still getting money. How many have to die? Hashtag Trump shut down CPS. There's no greater hashtag than that hashtag. That's the most important hashtag that could ever be shared. Hashtag Trump shut down CPS. Close it. It's over. The war on the children is over. The billions of dollars, the perverts that started the whole racket, it's over. It's their crown jewel. It's what they're most proud of, people. Is how they rip children from parents, traffic them for pedophilia, rape, every dirty, nasty thing you can imagine. This is what the deep state, this is what they love the most. The amount of money it brings in, the amount of problems it breeds. This is how you have a new world order. You destroy the children, cripple the future of everyone else. Thank you for watching, everyone. CPS News Network. Share the content. It's official. Hashtag Trump shut CPS down. Period. Trump shut down CPS. Trump shut down CPS. Trump shut down CPS. There's nothing else to talk about, people. Nothing. State of emergency, Foster War 2020. CPS News Network, sign out. Thank you all for your love and support.